My placenta was so large, Michelle. It was so gigantic. God. It took 2 buckets.
No, that's not true. Really?
That's horrible. That's
true?
terrible. That's horrible.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Gina, what are you eating? Gina.
That's Busy's
Gina, what are you eating?
other podcast. Gina, what are you eating?
Gina, what are you eating? Guys, welcome to another episode of Gina, what are you eating? Turns out it's my underwear again.
Aw,
Gina, what dog doesn't love some dirty drawers? Hi, guys. I'm recording. Caissie, are you recording?
I'm recording. Are you, Michelle? Are you recording?
Too.
Oh, yay! We're all recording.
Guys, welcome to. Michelle. This is how we do it. We just fucking jump in. Maybe your podcast runs smoother. Maybe you have written introductions. Maybe you are more professional than we are. That's not probably even a maybe. I would say that's a definite. But
so nice. No, I do no planning. You know that. None.
Well,
0.
Michelle Collins is our guest host today. She is the host of the Michelle Collins Show on SiriusXM on Stars Channel 109, live from 7 to 10 a.m. And you guys, can you hear my microphone buzzing?
No.
Motherfucker.
No.
Wait,
I hope this all stays in. I'm already having the best time.
I got it. Wait, nope, I didn't get it. I wish you guys could see. You know, I really got my cords under control. And then you're right, Caissie, during all of this press for Girls 5 Evo, which launches this Thursday only on Peacock, which is NBC's streaming site. If you don't have it, figure out how to get it. Like everything's gotten jumbled up. And so I'm trying to get it back together, but time is short. The cords are long. I don't know what to tell you. Michelle Collins was also the host number 15 of 22 on The View.
At least 22. Is it only 22? I thought it was more by now.
It's 475. And you have your own podcast, which probably runs smoother than this, called Midnight Snack. You guys should all subscribe and listen.
And download. I mean, we tell you all the time, download. You need to download or it doesn't count.
Michelle looks real cute. I look a little bit like a hot mess. Caissie just woke up.
Well, yeah, because of like time
zones.
Yeah,
time zones. But yeah. Michelle and I know each other for years because I was a guest on a TV pilot that you were like the host of. Do you remember that?
The failed pilot. I do remember.
A failed pilot.
You mean the failed pilot? Yes,
a failed talk show pilot that you did.
Talk show.
With Jerry O'Connell, right?
Jerry O'Connell. It was me. I'm laughing. If it was just me, it would have not even made it to pilot. It was me, Jerry O'Connell, Rebecca Romaine,
right.
and Garcelle Beauvais
pre-Beverly
Hills Housewives.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
It's such a small world because Michelle and I have known each other for years because we worked together at Best Week Ever. So we're old friends. And Michelle is also good friends with our good friend Nelzos, who was our co-executive producer on Busy Tonight.
The only man I let in the room.
The only man we allowed to work on.
And by the way, smart.
Yeah, smart.
He's the best.
And to bring it back to Jerry O'Connell, when I wrote
we should talk to Jerry O'Connell, by the way.
We totally should. When I wrote on Bette Midler's tour, when her tour came through Madison Square Garden, I brought Michelle as my date to go see Bette Midler, and we texted Jerry O'Connell a picture of ourselves because I guess we were drunk. We didn't say it was us. We just sent him a picture.
He's so nice.
Yeah,
But that night, which we went backstage, if you remember, and Busy, I'm sure you've met Bette Midler.
I've never met Bette.
I've never.
But was it the last tour?
It was the Divine Intervention tour. So, yeah, I think it was her last tour. Yeah.
How many years ago was that, guys?
It was like 5 years ago, probably.
40 to 50 years ago? Yeah.
5 years ago?
Well, it was the last thing that ever happened in the universe.
It's really hard to know if you're joking or not. But I did take my mom to Bette's tour, but I feel like it was much long. I feel like I didn't have kids yet. So that would have been a really, really long time ago at this point. And it was in Arizona at like a big arena. And we had nosebleed tickets because it was like all we could swing. And weirdly, I just had this feeling when we got there. I was like, let's just go to the box office and see. And I went up to the box office and the guy was like, oh my gosh, we just got all these tickets from like released from Bet's team. And we had front row center seats for it. And it was like the greatest experience of my life. But I've never met Bet, but I love Bet.
Oh my God.
She's the best.
I've never felt intimidated in the way that, I know we have to move on, but we went backstage because Caissie knew her.
Do we?
And
Do
the
we,
idea,
Michelle?
Do we what?
Do we have to move on?
Do we have to move on?
We don't have to move. We could literally talk about this for the next hour and a half and I'd be fine.
Truly, that's why I'm already loving my time. We went back there, and I remember I always have a thing as a tall woman about meeting tiny people, I especially famous ones, that I'm going to frighten them. Like, I always want to, you know, like when you hand a deer ham or something where you want to do it gently so like you don't frighten them away. So with her, I don't even think I met her. Did I?
Yeah,
Maybe.
no, she came in.
Did I shake her hand?
Yes, she came
Yeah.
in because I remember feeling so honored because she was like, it was just like a room full of very famous people and us. And like,
Yes. How
and
dare you? Oh, go on.
and she was like,
Okay.
she came in and she was like, Sarah Paulson, Michael Kors, Caissie St. Ange. And I felt so honored that I was like in the shout outs. And then, yes, she did talk to us like really briefly, but she
And
had
Michael
to.
Kors, I forgot about that. Yes, good memory, Caissie. Because he was truly like bordering on almost like racially offensive as far as his skin went. I was like, Michael, we need to talk. Like, I don't know if today he could get away with that spray tan. I was like, Mikey, what's happening? Anyway, it was fun. Yeah, how could I forget? Thank you for that wonderful experience. And Busy, thank you for doing that pilot as well, because you were, as always, a phenomenal guest.
I have no idea how I got roped into it, but I do know that it was fun.
Guilt.
And and I was happy to do it. And I do think it is the thing, Michelle. I am a person who like says yes to friends, says yes to people who are asking favors, because I feel like you never know when you're going to be on the other side. And then lo and behold, I had a talk show. And no one fucking showed up when I asked them.
We were on the other side every day.
Every day I was like, dude, seriously, come on. I went to your fucking fundraiser for the thing I don't even care about. Please. Like,
That's a good lesson for people, though, to never do favors. Like, if you don't want to do something, don't. Because you have to do it out of the goodness. Otherwise, you'll feel like a chump almost. That
you'll feel
sucks. I hate
slighted
those
when
people
it's
for you.
not
Yeah.
returned. But I also, that was a thing that I needed to work on in therapy, Michelle.
Okay, how'd it go?
That you can't do things expecting something in return. You have to just do them. And it was a lesson that I learned vis-a-vis Busy Tonight, perhaps, but also like really translated to my family and my relationship with my family, and like feeling like I would do things and not feel like appropriately lauded for the doing. And then I realized that that was fucked. And I needed to, like, if I wanted to do things, I needed to just want to do them. And it changed kind of like my relationship from my side with my family. Do you know what I mean?
That's so good, Biz. I think that's
Guys,
so
we're getting
good.
deep.
You know what?
Getting
I haven't been going to therapy lately, but I feel like I've been benefiting from your therapy, because yesterday the guys were coming to mow the lawn and Matthew didn't have a chance to pick up the dog poops in the yard, which usually he does. And I normally wouldn't have noticed. I don't even know how I noticed that the dog poops were still out there, but I did, thankfully, before the guy came to mow the lawn. And so I picked up the dog poops so the guy wouldn't have to like walk through the dog poops. But then I thought about it, and I thought about your therapy, and I didn't like announce to Matt that I had picked up the dog poops to like
Great.
get a thank you for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I was really thinking about it, and I was like, Busy's therapist, I bet if I went to therapy, would be like, you know, you don't have to like announce it. Like, you can pick up the dog poops one time and not try to get like a prize for it.
Correct.
I learned something. I would definitely want credit. It's so funny. As you were talking about it, I was like, and what did he say? Like, I was waiting for you to like, he must have been so
I really
thankful
did
to you.
want credit. And like, to be honest, like almost as I was like drifting off to sleep last night, it almost like woke me up to like blurt it out. Like, by the way, I picked up the dog poops, but then I didn't. I didn't.
Wow. So they say that that's bad. I'm actually do this for me for free because every time I've gone to therapy, I'm like sliding scale and they're like, you got it. And then I have to write a Publishers Clearinghouse check to them at the end. I'm like, is this the scale? I don't get it. Anyway, point is, it's too rich for my blood. But so that's one thing that you don't have to announce. It's not always about you, I guess, is what that lesson is.
Well, it's not.
Is that what it is?
I guess it's not always about receiving something. Like sometimes the gift to the other person is you not needing to announce it and get adoration or even just acknowledgement for it. Like if you're doing something to help someone else out, like Matt does all kinds of stuff, including always picking up the poop. He also works and he's, whatever. And so Caissie's point is he didn't have time to do it. He didn't do it. He forgot to do it, whatever. And she went to do it, but she doesn't need to like be like, oh, by the way, I picked up the poop, because then it's like you're sort of like making him feel like, wait, am I supposed to feel bad that I forgot?
Right.
It's
like
not
every week he doesn't say to me, by the way, I picked up the poops. It's just like a given.
Right. His mistake. Yeah. See, this is where I'm like, you should always announce to each other.
Guys, hold on. We're getting so far off track about our own shit that we
So sorry. It's all
we
me.
need to get, and there's so much happening
Well,
in
first,
the world.
do we want to say what we did our best at this week and get it out of the way?
I guess so.
Okay. What'd you do your best at this week, Elizabeth?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm doing so much press for Girls 5 Ever. I'm super excited about it. It comes out streaming on Thursday. That's tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow on Peacock.
Tomorrow.
And just so you know, I have a hot tip. It comes out in the morning. They're releasing them all tomorrow morning. Also, here's another idea. I don't know if you have to pay for, I don't know. I don't know how it works with Peacock because I don't know how anything works. But if they do give you like 2 for free or something, maybe watch those 2 and then subscribe so that it, like, algorithm, they think that you're subscribing for Girls 5 Eva. Is that
hacking
like
this?
I feel like this is smart. I don't know if that's the way things work, but let's just see, because I would like to do another season of it, because it's the most fun ever. The reviews have been coming in, and normally, I'm not a super review bitch, because I do feel like if you have to read the good ones, you got to read the bad ones too.
Yeah.
And so far I've been very lucky with this show, because I don't feel like there's many not good ones. I mean, actually, I haven't read one yet, but if you see it, don't send it to me. But so I've been doing good with that. And then also personally, we had like a kind of like a rough weekend. It just has to do with like parents getting older and like what's happening. And I think that I've been doing my best at being like supportive and seeing the picture clearly and like helping to make decisions without getting into too many things that aren't my thing to talk about. But you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I
that's
also some real fucking shit. And here's the other thing that I want to say, which, you've heard me rant and rave about the maternal mortality rate in this country and women's health care and all of that. And we're going to talk to Senator Elizabeth Warren later. And we talk a lot about childcare, and she mentions it only briefly, senior care. But holy shit, you guys, when I have now been like sort of doing some research into options for senior care, it is so confusing. It is so expensive. It is almost prohibitively confusing, like so hard to navigate. And like for those of you listening who maybe aren't there yet with your parents, or you don't know what I'm talking about, just know that this is a system that is truly fucked. And like, I just think, you judge your society by how you treat the most vulnerable among
your children and your
children, your elderly. We suck. We fucking fail the test. It is abysmal. I am so like upset
And
about
it's
it.
been that way for a really, really long time. It's Byzantine and confusing what you have to do with all of their assets and their belongings and what, in order to qualify for certain things.
And just like the confusion of the money where like everything
Yes.
feels like a scam. And
Yes.
I'm just like, wait, so you take $200,000 up front as what? Just
Right.
like a guarantee
Wow.
in case of
That's like a home?
continuing.
That's like a place, like a
There's,
housing place?
I can't. I mean, honestly, Michelle, we don't have the time.
I got you.
But it is like so fucking confusing, and there are so many different layers, and everything just feels like a scam. Like nothing makes sense in the way that you know how to live life or make decisions.
It's basically like, it feels like whatever you got, that's what we're taking. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. Yes, and it's so fucking. It's bonkers. I'm upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Upset
lot.
about a lot
It's
of
a
things.
lot.
But I do
that's
think
a big job.
It's a lot, but I do think I am offering a lot of support to the people who need it, and I'm trying to maintain my like calm center,
Composure.
my composure.
doing it.
Okay, so I'm doing good with that, and juggling the Girls 5 Eva Press, and we got to see Mark's parents for the first time in a year and a half.
That's great.
Wow.
And I cried.
Where are they located?
They're in Maryland. Michelle, do you know I moved to New York?
Are you in New York?
Yeah.
Is that why I hear those birds chirping? Those beautiful. I didn't know you're in New York. Oh my God. Welcome to NY.
Thanks. I
had no
moved
idea.
to-
Where are you living?
I'm currently in the city. I am in the city.
Okay.
And we're going to stay in the city.
Okay, same.
And our kids.
I like how vague you're being.
I'm
Somewhere
unlike,
between 158th Street and Fulton Street.
no,
Just
Caissie,
drop a pin.
that's a joke that's lost on me because I don't know geography here yet. But Caissie on our podcast once like just legit told the listeners where she lived exactly. And I was like, it seems like maybe we don't do that, Caissie. And then I listened to the podcast back. We do edits on this podcast, guys. Spoiler alert.
I mean,
But
They'll edit that out.
I
Yeah.
listened to it back and I was like, Caissie, why didn't you edit out where you lived? And she was like, I don't know. Who's going to come to get me? I don't know. It'll be fine.
Somebody will. That's the scary thing. You always think no one cares about you like that. And everybody has a stalker. Everyone among us has someone who, if they have your address, they'll do something with that.
When I was in Maryland over the weekend, I was wearing merch from our friend Heather McMahon's podcast.
Oh, yeah.
The sweatpants. And I was walking to get coffee. And this girl literally screeched over to the side because she saw the merch pants of Heather McMahon and was like rolling down her window, screeched over, and she's like, oh my God, the parm pants from Heather McMahon. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking nuts. And and she was just like, girl, that's my birthday present to myself. Is that parm suit? And I'm like, cool. Oh my God, this is really funny. This is great. Well, yeah, I love it. And she's like, you love Heather. You're a fan. And I'm like, okay. And then I don't know why. I was just sort of into the energy that she was giving me at 8 a.m. And I was like, actually, I'm friends with her. She's my friend. And she's like, what?
Oh my God.
How are you friends with Heather McMahon? And I was like, I've known her for a really long time, man. I don't know. I'm friends with her. Keep in mind, I'm wearing a mask. She was not.
Yeah.
But she was far.
she was in a car.
Distanced and in a car.
and contained.
But screaming, And
Yeah.
and then she was like, wait, how did you meet her here in Baltimore? She hates Baltimore. And I was like, well, I'm not from here. I'm just visiting. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. Are you LecFit? LecFit is the workout I do, Michelle. That is the workout that I do in
God.
Los Angeles that I've posted about for years.
That's how you're known now in Baltimore. Like
Yeah.
that.
But she just said, are you LecFit? And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, among other things, sure.
Yeah. There's a girl in Finland named Lekfit, by the way. Somewhere in the Nordic countries, Lekfit is having the best day of her life. She's so excited about this. Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I guess I'm Lekfit. And she's like, okay. Oh my God. Well, I won't blow up your spot. And and she zipped off. But then when I was walking back, I did an Instagram story and tagged Heather. Well, first I tried to FaceTime her blindly, and she rightfully didn't pick up. What a rude thing to do to someone at 8 a.m. But then I did an Instagram story and tagged her. And then when I was walking back with my coffee 20 minutes later, there was a girl walking her dog holding my book. And she's like, hi. Oh. I was watching her Instagram stories. I grabbed my book and I ran down here because she recognized where I was. And she was very sweet, and she was a nursing student at Johns Hopkins. And I was happy to sign her book. But that was a little bit like...
You blew up your own spot.
I did. But Caissie, that's also like why you don't say on your podcast where you live.
No, I mean, yes, but I'm not you. I mean, I have like
but you can say neighborhood. Sorry.
I have a tiny bit of experience with this, but not a lot. Here's my one experience. When I worked for David Letterman, he would sometimes put us on the show, you know, as ourselves, and sometimes like doing characters. And so very often I would walk him out to his car at the end of the night, and very often there would be sometimes a handful up to like 20 people waiting for him to like get autographs or whatever, and sometimes they get like pretty aggressive with him. But one night we were walking out to his car and somebody rushed up right past him to me and said, "Oh my God, you're my favorite character on the show," to me.
Wow.
And Dave was like, "What the
exciting?"
fuck?" And Dave was like, "She's not a character, she's a person." and then, but I think he was also like irritated. Like, that guy didn't even notice me. Like, he just made a beeline for you. And I was like, this is hilarious. But that's my only ever brush with like a person who is very intently focused on me.
Caissie, do you remember when we started working together at Best Week Ever? Like, not even maybe 4 months into working it, I had a stalker at work. Do you remember? I had to call the police on a girl we worked with. I honestly don't even like to talk about it in case she's like still listening to everything I do and this is what sends her over the edge.
I'm sure she is.
For sure. But that was the way that I ingratiated myself, or so I thought at least, with everybody we worked with, because this girl was like stalking me all throughout work. I won't say exactly why. I knew a famous person that she was obsessed with, and she found that out. And he had performed, remember this? He had performed at my shows downtown and all these things. And she followed me home from work one day. She like literally followed me downtown. I was telling a friend of mine, this girl is really freaking me out at work. As I'm talking to him, we were at Mo Pitkins in the East Village. I look out of the window. This bitch is standing at the bus stop across the street, staring at me. Busy, Caissie.
No.
I turned into T3. My footsteps were so hard, I left holes in the gravel on 2nd Avenue. I like stormed across. First of all, as I was walking toward her, she held a bag up in front of her to try to like be invisible. I mean, the girl had some problems. Listen, I hope she's doing well. I really do.
Yeah.
But I said, I know about you. I know you stalk blank, because his team had actually told me, yes, we've had issues with her. She followed him upstate, all this stuff. This bitch went to work the next morning, and I had just started working, so no one really knew me. It was,
right.
This was like in 2006, I think. She called HR on me.
Oh my God.
Because I called the police on her, and I said, there's a celebrity stalker here. And the woman on the 911 call said, "Are you a celebrity?" And I went, "Excuse me?" She went, "Are you a celebrity?"
Not
I went,
yet.
"Yes, I'm a very," yeah, right. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, in about, 28 years. But I said, "Yes, I'm a celebrity. Send someone here." And the cops came. They were so nice. They were like, "Just tell her we wrote a report. We can't do anything about it." She nearly got hit by a bus. It was a whole thing. She filed a complaint against me at HR, and I had to sit in her meeting that next morning and repeat the entire story, that they were going to find my skeleton in the Hudson, and the Post would have a headline that said "Funny Bones" with my head on it. We had a whole thing. And and that was it. And then she got fired, by the way. I'm almost done with this. About a year later, because she did the same shit to somebody else. But meanwhile, that whole time I was looked at like the person who instigated it.
Oh
But she worked there.
It was a big
She worked
company.
at the television network that we worked at.
Oh.
I would circle my office. She would email me pictures of newborn baby pandas. I know that sounds cute. Please Google them, and then you
No,
tell
no,
me
no,
if it's
don't,
cute.
don't.
Okay?
Guys, don't.
No,
Don't.
please, you Google them. You tell me if it's cute. Okay, that's what I'll leave it at that.
Oh my God.
Thank you for letting me tell that story.
Well,
No,
oh
that
my
is
God.
like,
Anyway,
that
people
is
are
so
scary.
fucked. Like ugh.
yeah, that's weird.
It's really scary because it's also, I mean, it is just all of it is scary. It's scary that people become obsessed with other people in that way. And it's like this time recently has made me even more nervous because I feel like people have been emboldened to do things in a way by this last several years. And there used to be like, you know, you'd watch Gavin DeBecker on Oprah. And he's like devoted his entire life to like, you know, protecting people from people who are stalking them, whatever. But like, I just wonder if any of the research like that they had even applies anymore, because I feel like people are just so rogue. Like people have just gone off the deep end because of the, you know, last president who was literally off the deep end. I don't know.
And no boundaries. There's no boundaries.
No boundaries.
There's like, listen, between Twitter and Instagram and everything, I talk about personal things all the time. And it's like, I have to set a boundary.
right.
Like I've said to people before something about like, oh, well, you know, like I got, you know, death threats or whatever. And then like I've had people literally say, but like real death threats are online.
Oh God.
You know what I mean?
And you're
I'm
like,
well,
they all feel real.
guys,
I
it
mean,
feels when someone tells you that they're coming to rape and murder you, it feels fucking real, whether it's like a DM on Instagram or like a letter mailed to your home.
yeah. Either way.
Just FYI,
The
guys.
cops have no idea. I'll say one last thing. I know I reported, this was a different story when I lived in Los Angeles, a situation that really was horrible for me. And I won't get into details because I'm still frankly not ready to talk about it. But I went to the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department to report on this person who was making my life a living fucking hell. And they were like, well, also getting rape threats and death threats and shit like that on my email.
Ugh.
And they were like, well, you know, we all listen. The guy said to me, I swear to God, he goes, you know, listen, I get emails to join J-Date and I'm not Jewish. That is literally what he said to me. I went, what? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, well, you can just get emails like, you know, and I said, no, these are targeted emails that are being set up. You know what I'm saying?
Not
For
spam.
me. Anyway.
Oh my God.
I mean, guys, you know how I feel.
Go into it.
Defund.
Say it.
Defund the police. But there's also,
well, because they really did nothing for me. That's really
well,
true.
they really do nothing for a lot of people, and then they cause a lot of harm. And there should be different departments, especially for women in crisis. There should be a whole different way of handling all of it.
All of it.
It shouldn't be police that you have to deal with. I've been questioned by police like about my own validity as a human. I'm like, motherfucker, I do not have the time for this.
Yeah.
Like I have two babies here, you know. Anyway, what are you doing your best at, Caissie?
Okay, so I feel like we're doing this thing where we're like apologizing to people that we've wronged in the past, like Britney and Paris Hilton. So I want to apologize to someone that we've wronged in the past, and that is Jamie Lee Curtis. I made fun of Activia commercials in the past because I thought that it was silly that we needed to talk about digestive yogurt so much back when I could digest things, and now I can't digest anything anymore. And now I see the need for digestive yogurt, and I can't. It's Cinco de Mayo today when this podcast comes out. I really want to eat a taco.
So exciting.
And I'm not gonna be able to eat a taco, I don't think. I can't.
No.
I
What's
can't
going
even
on with your
I hate that for you.
digestion?
I can't even like digest a Tums. I can't.
Okay. Well, first of all, here's what I'm going to say. We got to get you onto some of these herbs. I'm going to like get this guy.
The yeast within. How dare you?
Oh my.
I'm obsessed with this guy, Michelle Williams, not Michelle Collins, but Michelle Williams, my BFF, put me in touch with him. He's here in New York, and I go and see him, and he's like an herbalist and an acupuncturist. But Caissie, we got to get your system back in alignment. But he's going to ask you to send him a picture of your tongue.
Okay.
Top and bottom.
Okay.
And then he's going to send you a bunch of shit, and it tastes terrible, and you just have to like...
I want it too.
Well, Michelle, you can go see him. He's delightful. I love him.
I want to go there.
Yeah,
I love Eastern medicine and everything like that.
Busy, you know, Busy always gets annoyed at me because I give like a celebrity blind item. Like, what on earth are you doing? Busy,
I'm opening my herbs now that I'm thinking about it. Because, you know, I had... Do you remember last summer where I had such bad acid reflux?
Yes.
Reflex?
Well.
The reflex is acid reflux that I felt so terrible all the time.
Well, let me tell you something, Michelle. Busy always gets annoyed with me because I will do like a celebrity blind item because I don't want to like blow up some innocent celebrity spot just because I know a funny story. But anyway, this one I'm not going to do a blind item, but it's so LA that you're recommending like herbs. And one celebrity who I'm just going to fully tell the story is that back in the day, back before his life was so wild, I was friendly with a guy named Andy Dick. And
I know this.
And so he was trying to convince me that I needed to do a liver cleanse. And he was like, because he was into all these very like natural remedies. And we were like doing a little project together for a show that I was working on. We had like a super fun day. And at the end of it, we were driving back to his house and he was telling me, yeah, you got to do this liver cleanse. Like he didn't eat all day because he was doing this liver cleanse. And he was like, yeah, I've been on it for like a bunch of days. And he was describing to me how he had expelled a bunch of liver stones from his body.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, really? Like a bunch of stones came out of your body? And he was like, yeah. And then as we're pulling up into his driveway, he was like, yeah, I'm not kidding. Do you want to see them? And I was like,
like in the gravel out front? Where did he keep them?
And I was like, okay. So
honestly, correct answer. If anyone ever offers to show you something that came out of their body, like without question, be like, yeah, I want to fucking see it.
We're very different. For me, I default to no. It's so funny. Just different people. I just don't want to see the placentas. I'm not into any of that.
My placenta was so large, Michelle. It was so gigantic. God. It took 2 buckets.
No, that's not true. Really?
That's horrible. That's true? Terrible. That's horrible.
Now I want to see it. You know what? You convinced me. I do want to see 2 buckets of placenta, our new game show on GSN. You should check it out. Go on.
Well, so anyway, I consented to see Andy Dick's liver stones. I don't know how they got into like this like colander or sieve or whatever, but I guess he had them.
Because you obviously don't know people that have done liver cleanses, because when you do a liver cleanse, like they make you like pee or like into a sieve so that you can see if anything comes out, like calcified.
He probably shat into like, I don't think they came out of his. Anyway.
Well, I think also when you're doing the liver cleanse and you're shitting, at that point when the stuff comes out, it's all just like liquid. And then you guys, I'm into it. I love this stuff.
But anyway, here's the thing. So we like go through his house out onto like the little back area where he was storing his sieve with his liver stones in it, and there were like a flock of birds descended on it, and he was like, get away, those birds are eating my liver stones. And
honestly, dust to dust. You just return to nature. You know what I mean?
You gotta return. Birds are eating my liver stones. Sounds like from a silent film from 1920s, like a card would come up. You know what I mean? Like a sepia toned. That's hilarious.
He was
poor Andy.
So offended.
And you guys, I know this is a podcast. You can't see my face right now. I'm just like wrinkled nose, not happy.
He was super.
I want to see your guy, Busy, because I have to say that since we started recording, I'm watching you like genuinely like watching an artist at work taking so many vitamins and stuff. And I'm like, this is the secret to why you look young. Like I need to know every single ingestion, right? Is it every morning you do this?
I do it most mornings now. Yeah. I mean, here's what I'm going to say. Number one is let's be real, genes is why I look young.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Parents look
anytime
good. Yeah.
anyone gets like whatever about celebrities and they're like, it's money and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, look at my mom. Because my mom did not have the expendable income that I have to do all the shit. And she still looks fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really miss my mom. I really wish I could see her. It's Mother's Day this weekend, guys. If you don't have a good relationship with your mother or you have a shitty mother, I apologize. And I'm holding a space for you, as we like to say. And also I'm sending you love and all of that. But if your mom is like within the realm of Deece moms and decent.
Deece moms.
Deece
Wow.
moms. If your mom is just like, if your mom's not a regular mom, she's a cool mom. If your mom's whatever, if you have a great mom, don't forget your mom is all I'm saying.
No,
you know,
that's nice.
But if you have a shitty mom or a mom that was mean to you or like things that were traumatic, then, or your mom is no longer with us and you loved her deeply and this is a really hard week, again, sending you love. But I
don't think
miss
it's
my
mutually
mom.
exclusive to have a mother who fucked you up, but then you also love her. I'm just going to put that out there. There's space, I think, for both.
Michelle, I wrote a whole book about
I'm
it.
not speaking from experience.
Not at all.
I know.
Not at all.
Not my mom, obviously,
Right,
who
right.
like literally raised me perfectly. I'm saying other moms out there who also are from Israel and a little cruel sometimes. You get it. Anyway, we can move on.
Michelle, what are you doing your best at this week?
Thank you for asking, Caissie. So I am someone who I don't consider myself dirty. I consider myself messy. I'm one of those where with clothing, especially because I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yes.
My joke is like I basically live in a J. Crew. Like every day there's things to fold, hang, laundry. I have piles of donation. There's just a whole system in this house because I have otherwise I would have, pretty much keep everything. So I had company this weekend, and because of the company, I did like a full-blown spring cleanse. Like,
I love it.
Which I love. The only shitty thing is that, again, being in the city, everything becomes 50 times harder when you don't have a car.
Yeah.
So like now in my bedroom, I have like 4 IKEA bags that I need to take to, donate and all kinds of stuff. I just said donate, whatever, however way you say it. I hold space for both of the words. Donate. I'm gonna hold space for both. Yeah. But so now it looks clean, and it is so nice to come home to like a nice clean apartment. And then what happens is once I clean it, every hair I'm like vacuuming.
Yes.
For like 3 weeks I'll be unbelievably clean, and then usually traveling is the thing that will like fuck it up. Like I'll have to pack a bag and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like then for the next 2 months.
But
it's
have you
messy.
had to
anyway.
travel? I love a spring cleaning moment. Have you had to travel
Yeah.
since Coves?
I've traveled twice. I went to London for
What?
a
International
months.
travel during COVID?
for 2 months. Well, first of all, I did everything properly, and it was for a work opportunity. And then once
Great.
I landed, lockdown started. So I was like, okay, I'm going to
shit.
stick it out and see what happens. But truth be told, once I was there, I quarantined, and also I was like, I can't turn around, just
Right.
like come back.
Wait, what was the work thing? Can we talk about it? Or not really?
Well, it didn't happen, so no.
Oh,
no, but I think I'm going to go back this summer as well, just to see. I like want to live in London. I mean, that's really the.
I weirdly just
dream
all
for
of a
me.
sudden, I don't know, maybe it's like I'm really feeling my intuition these days, but Michelle, I think you got to go to London. I think there's something
I
for
know,
you there.
and I love you for it.
Michelle in London. It could be a hit Netflix show if there's some way to make it rhyme.
Wait, honestly, Caissie, let's write that.
I just think
we have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or do you have a significant? I was trying to abbreviate significant other.
I'm glad you asked. I don't at the moment. I actually was seeing someone when I was in London, which did not go anywhere. So I'm going back now.
Was it Harry Styles?
Honestly, yes. And then fucking Olivia every time. No, her beautiful face and her nice personality shows us to roll in. No, but anyway, I'm going back. Number one, just because I really do love it there, and number two, just to see what else can happen for me. So I appreciate your intuition.
I think that there's like a boyfriend there for. I think there's a person there for you.
Although, didn't you interviewed Harry Styles one time, and it was like
I did.
adorable, right? Like he was very charmed by
Let me
you.
tell you what happened. I interviewed One Direction. This was when I was on The View. I've never looked worse, by the way. 5 or 6 years ago, and that's a true story. And I remember they said to me, oh, do you want to interview One Direction? I was like, yeah, of course. They go, great. They're performing for Good Morning America in Central Park. We'll have you go interview. And I remember Raven, I could feel her energy a little bit. And I thought, why doesn't Raven come with me? Because we were new to the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, Raven, I forget, is like one of the most famous people. You know, everybody knows Raven.
Yeah.
Shows up in a Daft Punk mask. Okay, she did not take the visor off. This date to me, it was like literally I stepped into an ayahuasca bucket of vomit, just like past trauma, like everything at once. And I had this joke that I was going to open with because I thought we were doing a backstage interview. Like I wore hideous shoes. Like I figured it would be waist up, whatever. And I was going to say, oh my God, you know, One Direction, big fan. I'm such a fan. And then go to Harry. Now, who are you? I thought that was so funny at the time. I was like, I'm LOL funny. We get there.
You're going to kill it.
Oh.
You're going to kill it. Yeah.
Make a name for myself. We get there. Raven again in the visor, but her hair is sticking out. And they're like, okay, One Direction, they're done singing. Get out there. And they send us on stage in front of like 40,000 teenagers.
What?
This is like one of those examples where...
What? Absolutely
No,
not.
you guys, nobody told me we were doing this on stage in front of children. I didn't know. So I'm like hobbling out there. If you watch that interview, I'm telling you right now, I once did have to get rabies shots. That's another story. It is my most rabid, foaming at the mouth, hydrophobic, like I'm out of my head. And right before we started, I know people who Harry knows. So I said, oh, I'm friends with blah, blah, just to show him I'm like normal. And he went, I'm going to be really mean to you in this interview. And I went, that is hilarious. Yes. You know, because I'm like so game.
My
I was
God.
like, wait, Harry, that is literally so funny. Be so mean to me, right? Not realizing. You have to understand.
Oh, no.
I genuinely didn't know where I was. Like, I was like, what? And then Raven's in the visor still. I mean, this is a real thing I lived. And so I'm on stage and we start the interview and he ended up being kind of nice to me, but he was definitely trying to be a little bit kind of
Cold at first.
But I was making them laugh. Niall, or whatever his name is, Neil, whatever. So sweet.
Niall. It's Niall.
You guys, big fan. So nice. He could not have been nicer. And they were sweet boys. I mean, honestly, but I did touch his hair at one point, Harry, who was right next to me. And he was game for it. You know, I think I was being funny watching it back. I obviously want to die. And all of his fans went fucking crazy. They were like, don't touch the art. How dare you touch him? It was like, because, you know, the 1Ders were nuts, you know?
I have a really, really interesting child that, listen, to be real, I'm obsessed with.
Okay. Sweet as a mom.
My kid,
Oh.
which is that a weird thing to be obsessed with your children? Caissie, you have older kids. Is that okay to be obsessed with them?
I mean, I like mine.
Well, I mean, let's be real. They also, you know, there are moments. Let's, you know, okay. And there's been a lot of
Yeah, sure.
work.
Sure.
Work.
Yeah.
There's been work. So much work, guys. So much work. Again, could go on a fucking tangent. Okay. But the point being, my kid is very interesting and is about almost 13, but just found One Direction like 6 months ago. Do you think that's right, Caissie?
Yeah, because I think they started liking One Direction like after Timothy Chalamet. Yeah.
Chalamet and
funny.
Little Women. You guys, it's not even 6 months. So Michelle, my point is Birdie is late to the game. You know what I mean? The 1D game. But when Bird becomes interested in something or obsessed with something, they're whatever that personality type is where they have to become an expert at that thing. What is that? Did you guys ever do that? The anagram? It's not an anagram.
Enneagram?
What's it called? What's it called?
An Enneagram?
What? Enneagram. Yeah, Enneagram. Did you ever do that test?
Never heard that.
What?
I've
Michelle,
never heard that word in my life.
Enneagram. You have to take your Enneagram test
Is
and
this
find.
the IGFPJ shit?
I don't know what that is, but Enneagram is like this thing from the 70s, and you take you answer a bunch of questions, and then they're like, you're a 7. And then you go and you look at what a 7 is. And an Enneagram 7 is must be an expert at all things, like only feels comfortable when they know all of the information about a certain thing. Anyway, Birdie is.
You know what's interesting? When we started working together, we both did it. And then we looked at what our numbers meant together. And it told us like what the potential, how we'd work well together and what the potential dangers were. Mm-hmm. So like what to watch out for.
And it's a real test.
I would say that's accurate.
Yeah.
I would say it's like as accurate as a BuzzFeed quiz. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
But
okay, then I'm in.
Anyway, Birdie is like so obsessed with 1D, knows everything about them, knows every conspiracy theory, like everything you want to know and don't want to know. And Michelle, I am going to guarantee you one thing right now. Maybe not tonight because I'm doing Fallon tonight. And I think Sarah Bareilles and I are going to have dinner after. No big deal, you guys.
Look, we all have plans tonight, busy.
Sarah
okay?
Bareilles.
Some of us also have things to do tonight. Okay, busy.
Okay.
I like get upset.
But
go
at
on.
some point, maybe tomorrow, I'm going to ask Birdie if they've watched your interview with One Direction, because this kid has seen, when I tell you every piece of content about 1D that's anywhere online, this kid has watched it. So I'm going to find it. I want to tell them what you said. I'm going to tell them all of this backstory.
Unprepared.
Yeah.
I think I genuinely can't watch the entire thing. I think at one of my stand-up shows, I showed it with that preface, like telling the story and then watching it, knowing that I was legitimately shitting in my pants the entire time. And it makes it funny when you know the context of like how I was basically tricked into interviewing them. And then Raven does like a walk-off with one of them again in her mask. I've never dropped acid before. It's the closest I'm sure that I've ever gotten to it because it just didn't feel real.
I think you probably had a disassociative moment. Like you probably left your body a little bit. I'm not kidding.
Michelle's ghost floating.
I'm not being funny. Yes. It's huge. It's bigger than me. I'm like, are you I'm bigger dead. I got upset.
Okay, wait, guys. Well, now we know what we're all doing our best at. I want to talk about this. First of all, yes. I went back into my photos, Caissie, and I found a screenshot from June 7th, 2020. And then there's even one from 2019 of Ben Affleck. Now, I'm only saying this to say that Ben Affleck as an idea has been fascinating to us for years. A long time. And here he is again. And why does it resonate with so many people? Why is Ben Affleck as an idea like resonant to so many of us?
I know. Go first.
Don't we all feel like we could be Ben Affleck?
Well, skeletally, yes.
Or we could be,
for me, yes, same skull size.
Wait, what did you say?
She said she has the same skull size.
Like when we're dead, if they put our bones next to each other, like twins.
I've sat next to Ben. His head is bigger than mine. Yeah, so
that's
just for comparison.
I mean, to me, I'll tell you why I like him. He has a sense of humor about himself. He is never trying not to be Ben. He doesn't care if he's photographed with iced coffee, going through the drive-thru. He's kind of like a bit of a garbage can, which I am. And my prescription's here. I'm not going to get the buzzer though. But anyway, the point is, and he's funny. And I think because he dealt with like so many demons in his life, right? Mm-hmm. There's just something about him that is so relatable. And honestly, he's hot. I'm sorry. And he's kind of dumb. Like I know he's an Oscar winner for quote unquote writing that movie, but that Phoenix back
we've
tattoo,
all done a group project before, Michelle. We know how that goes.
Yeah. Exactly. Remember when he wrote that movie? But that Phoenix tattoo,
I'd be excited if any group project I ever did won an Oscar. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, let's write something.
The back Phoenix tattoo. My favorite thing about that hideous tattoo is just that Jennifer Garner quote from a magazine where she was like, Are you the phoenix? Am I the fire that you're rising from? Bless your heart. Like, am I the ashes? Well, bless your heart. Like, it's a real fuck you quote.
I love that on Watch What Happens Live, we asked J-Lo what she thought of the Phoenix back tattoo, and she said it was ugly and that Ben goes overboard with the colorful tattoos and that he has like a penchant for tacky tattoos. And then he said it was fake after, and he said it was for a movie.
Well, he tried to play it, you guys. He's
not fake.
This is where Michelle, I'm like, I mean, he has a bit of a sense of humor about himself, but like nobody, like
dumb.
you don't say that the back tattoo is fake when you get embarrassed because people are like, what the fuck did you do to yourself? But I do wonder if he is a little cringing about the Raya girl posting his message. Yesterday, I had guys on my phone, and I think I still have it. I have his Raya profile with music and everything.
Are you
on
match
Raya?
with Ben on Raya. I am on Raya.
Wait, you didn't match with
And-
him? Or you did?
I matched with him. This motherfucker did not match me. I know. And then I saw this
Wait,
girl and I was like,
but
oh, I don't look like a haunted witch. This girl that he matched with, literally, I was like, oh, she's beautiful. But, with the nose and the lips, and I don't think that's a filter. I was like, oh, he wants to like fuck Coraline or whatever that cartoon was. I'm like, okay, it's a different thing. And that's
Coraline. That is such a type of dude. But also, Michelle, are you not tempted to send him a video on Raya right now that says, Ben,
Why didn't you match me?
why did you unmatch with me? She unmatched with him, and he
Yes.
was like, whatever her name is.
He DM'd her on Instagram, though. He did not. You can't send videos on Raya.
Wow,
so
wow,
he
wow.
went to this girl's Insta.
Wow.
It is cringe. I'm glad to hear you say that because people think it's funny. Not me. And I'm like very pro Ben.
That's a project. Yeah, we just had a big we just had
Oof,
a big
I didn't
talk
like it.
about like the effort that it takes to kind of stalk someone, and that is, that's
Exactly.
Guys, I don't know. Does
know.
it
I
take
didn't love
effort
it.
at this point? Like stalking people online is kind of
Yeah.
easy. Like going on deep
Don't you have
dives.
a little self-respect? The deep dive is, listen, I have an app on my phone called Truth Finder where I do background checks on every man I go out with. That's just a true fact. And if they don't come up, I'm like skeptical.
Okay.
That's real. It's not a real background check. Like I don't pay for it because I can do like property searches. I'm not doing shit like that unless it gets serious. But, just at first to see, that they're a real person because you just don't know if you're meeting someone like what's their deal. I felt like what was sad about this is like he can pretty much get whoever he wants. So like I
don't know if
matched
that's
a guy on
true.
Raya
I don't
who
know if
was
that's
really
true.
young. Well,
Wait,
I matched a guy who was very young. He was like early 20s and very annoying. And then he found me on Instagram to be like, why did you unmatch me? I'm like, do you have any self-respect? Because you're
Right.
annoying. I didn't write back. But it's like, at that point, just accept it and move on. I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit desperate on Ben's
right.
behalf.
I mean, I guess
And that's my story. That's really so I can brag about unmatching a 22-year-old.
Yes.
by the way.
I mean, here's the one thing where I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
she did say she unmatched him because she thought he was fake. She thought it wasn't Ben Affleck. And so I guess he could say his argument for doing that is that the point was to demonstrate that he really was him and he had no other recourse. But also, like, who cares? Just move on.
They must have messaged too.
Yeah.
If he knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That had to be it. Because otherwise, how would he know that
Right.
that's why she unmatched?
Right. And then he probably
That makes more sense.
He probably DM'd her on Raya or whatever.
Raya,
right?
if you
And then
if you
she
don't
was-
know,
happened.
is like it's like
Oh, guys. We've talked about Raya for years. If you follow me and
sort of yeah.
DJs basically and
Yeah,
photographers. Yeah. It's D to F list. And then once in a while they'll pepper in one of their investors. So like you'll see like Joe Jonas, who's married, by the way, or like Owen Wilson or all these like actual celebrities. But those profiles, they're dressed like Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
They're so old. They don't update it. They're not actually using it.
I only would fuck dead guys, by the way.
Okay. But Ben Affleck, basically the like main character on the internet twice this week, because also I got very excited about the photos of him and J-Lo seen together at the Hotel Bel Air in the white SUV, and like what is happening, and will we get Bennifer 2.0.
A reprise.
A reprise. And people online had mixed feelings toward me when I said, dear Lord, please let it happen. And a lot of people were like, ew, we've suffered enough this year. And I was like, this is the joy we need in our lives, guys.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Like, I don't know. To me, I like loved both of them so much in that relationship because just purely as a pop culture spectator, I feel like they brought out the like absolute cheesiest versions of one another and like were willing to just like take it there, like just buy into the whole thing. Like it almost was as if they like were getting tattoos that said Bennifer. Like they were like, just he was in the video on the boat kissing her butt. Like I don't know. Like
I forgot about those pics.
Well, and also like that he was like trying to look like a movie star from the 50s, but he is Ben Affleck, so he is sort of like giant and it's a little weird and like off, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something like so spectacular to me about the two of them together and like having sat next to both of them separately at different award shows as I was the plus one of my best friend, Michelle Williams. I can honestly say not much, but I do think that it would be like an incredible repairing and I kind of really want it to happen. I also feel like she would keep him fucking in line. I feel like that guy needs a woman who is like, here's what I'm going to say. This is maybe whatever. I don't care. He needs a woman who's more famous than he is. That's what he needs to like keep him in fucking line.
And she doesn't drink, which is good too because it'll just strain him
And
out
she's
a
just
little
like,
bit.
enough of this bullshit. You want to like be with me. You got to get it together.
Get
Affleck.
it together. We're having so many needless reboots. I just think, I tweeted that I would happily readopt my 2002 eyebrows if they could, make it.
I will not.
Well, maybe just like one time, just for one cycle, one eyebrow cycle.
I want to see with the brows, Caissie, and I think that I'm with you, Busy. We deserve this after the year that we've had. It harkens us back to a fun, poppy time in gossip with actual A-list celebrities. You know, when we really had star power instead of these people now who I genuinely do not really give a fuck about. I mean, I like Timothée Chalamet. I don't care who he's dating. I just don't. I like him a lot. But there's just a star energy with those two that we've not seen in a really long time. I would say actually Olivia and Harry Styles are close to that kind of a level. That was an exciting pairing.
Harry and Olivia. Yeah, I mean, Harry is like the closest thing we've got to a movie star at this point.
Beyond.
You know what I mean?
Perfection. And I've heard the nicest guy, despite, even when he tried to be mean to me, just to once again remind everyone that I met him, he was still nice. And actually, friends of mine.
He wasn't even that good at it.
He couldn't even be mean. And I'll tell you a story you can tell your kids, which is that friends of mine were at a party, English friends, that Harry was at. And he was like, can I get you guys some champagne? And they were like, okay. And he stood in line, got 2 champagnes for them, did not get himself anything and brought it to them. That's a nice guy. It's like almost a little sad. It's so sweet. He had like nothing to do. Yeah. I like that little story of Harry. So anyway.
Birdie has a lot of thoughts and feelings about how fucked it was that he was like overly sexualized as a child on a reality competition show, and Birdie is like incredibly pissed about it still. Like Birdie gets like ragey about how inappropriate it was that they sexualized a 16-year-old boy, and if it had been a 16-year-old girl, it wouldn't be the same. And I was like, well, see, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and like every other pop star like that has gone through that machine as well. And Birdie was like, it doesn't make it okay. And I'm like, okay, no, okay, fair point. Yes.
They are really smart.
Birdie is really smart.
And also, I think Harry's doing a good job of just managing that conversation right now. I think that's what's really interesting about him is that whenever sexuality is brought up in an interview, that's where he's really interesting, I think, in that conversation. Like, I don't really have any skin in this game. My kids aren't big 1D fans. I obviously, you know who I only listen to.
Prince.
But that's where I find him to be really interesting in the way that he talks about sexuality, just about how it's personal and he's really honest without being completely open, and he's private, but he's frank, and it's interesting.
I want to
It's good
say
stuff.
that hearing you talk about that just for 2 seconds, that's why when people were coming after Zac Efron last week and his face, and you know, Caissie, we used to work at Best Week Ever, which my whole thing on the blog was like we would tear people apart. I'm glad that blog does not exist anymore, because I would be embarrassed probably by a lot of the things in today's light, you know, that we said then.
Yeah.
But that being said, I could not get on board with making fun of Zach last week. I was like, first of all, talk about being sexualized at a young age. This kid was like meat. Like, he was literally a piece. I'm not even a High School Musical girl. I've never seen it. But he has struggled with sobriety issues as far as we know, and none of my business. But like, he clearly has gone through stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's like maybe physically changed, how do you expect these people to be normal? And I can't explain it. It really rubbed me the wrong way that they found it okay to like dig deep on this guy who's literally always been really nice. Like, he's never been, Zac Efron's not ever done anything shitty, honestly. And he really could have.
Yeah.
So that's my little rant about Zac. Thank you for listening. Okay.
Yeah, I am with you on that TED Talk.
Thank you.
He's still like a beautiful person objectively. Like, it's just he's being held to like a really weird standard in terms of
weird.
aging. Like, it's just,
Well, I also
you know,
think, like, in the same way that we're like, stop talking about women's appearances.
right.
Like, you don't actually have the right to comment on anyone's fucking appearance. Like, that's people are more than what they look like. But also, I really appreciated Will Smith's Instagram post. Did you guys see it?
Yes.
Where
Well,
he was-
because, okay, so Will Smith is opening himself up to comment, and the comment is, I love it.
Guys, if you didn't see it, Will Smith, did you see it, Michelle?
Of course. Oh, okay. I'm looking at it now.
He posted he posted a photo of himself on Instagram, and with the caption like, I am in the worst shape of my life. just putting it out there, whatever. And
In like a swimsuit and like sandals.
and like a dad,
Open
and like a
button down.
like a dad pot belly.
Just looks like he's about ready to go grill some hot dogs.
I mean,
He looks good straight up. I'm like, people, I wish I looked that good now.
Right?
Like, I would love to have that body as a woman.
Right.
Like, that would be the dream figure for me. Yeah.
I mean, listen.
He looks good. Listen, he's 52, 53 years old.
I love him.
He's another one who had to be in the best shape of his life always. Like, he's never had a moment where he's not been hot and fit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't think he looks bad.
I always love it. And also, to bring it back to Prince again, you know, this is a guy who was always like super, super fit, but there are like a couple moments in his career, especially early on in his career, when he must have been first earning like a little bit of money and could like afford some cheeseburgers, where he put on like probably 6 pounds, because it made a difference on his very small frame. And then later, as he got older, where he got like a little thicker. And I just love it when it happens, because I find it to be very humanizing. I just love it. I just love it when people are like, oh, listen, the way that I look in movies takes a shit ton of work. It takes a shit ton of maintenance. It's not possible to maintain it all the time. And by the way, like, this is what one of the biggest movie stars in the world looks like on like a Thursday on his lawn.
I mean, listen. Also, though, I think it really speaks to the COVID-15.
On an all new Gina, don't eat that. What was the name of the show that we were pitching?
Gina, what are you eating? Gina, what are you eating?
Gina, what are you eating?
Gina,
Shit.
what are you
Yeah,
eating?
so close.
Gina.
Gina
What are you
has
eating?
put on a COVID-15, and it's all been the calories from makeup brushes and
By the way,
carpets.
So
the other
cute.
day I was on the phone with Caissie, and I was like, Gina, what are you eating? And it was my literal favorite makeup brush. And I was like, I rescued it from her little jaws before she really got into it. I
What
said to
brand is
Caissie,
it?
I mean, honestly, I think it's like a weird generic. I don't remember. Wait,
Like a drugstore brand.
I think it was honestly. I do
so
kind of
excited.
feel like it came from Costco.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah, I think it did.
I know they sell the sets of like 700. Yeah,
I think it was a Costco. It came in some sort of set. It came in some sort of set that like I probably got for Christmas, maybe from my parents, probably like 10 years ago.
There's 350 for Gina to eat. She just can't eat that one. That's your
She
favorite.
cannot. I don't have that many
hate that she
makeup
did
brushes,
that.
Caissie. I'm going to be honest.
Ooh.
Well, no, I just think, yeah. And also, like, I don't know. I do like to see the real. Oh God,
That's a website.
For the website.
No, but I am going to do some spring cleaning, and maybe I will sell some things on the Real.
Yeah, do it. You do like the real Will Smith.
I do like it when people like share in that way. Like social media has become so strange.
Yeah.
And especially with huge celebrities, like the amount of like manufactured content in like things that I'm seeing huge celebrities posting on Instagram that's like just for their Instagram. I'm like,
It's
wait, why?
dystopian.
Like, no, it is dystopian. I'm like, wait, why are you doing this? Like, I fucking hustle on Instagram because the only way I like make supplemental income is by like doing paid posts for brands. So that's why I'm like hustling my fucking ass off. And I have no like social media coordinator, like person that's like coming over to my house 2 Saturdays a month and like filming me doing like fucking boomerangs or whatever, like watching me cook chicken parm. Like to me, if you're like a huge, like a huge movie star, like why? Like why spend the money and the time and the energy to do this, all the manufactured content, unless you're like launching your own lifestyle brand? Am I being bitchy?
No, I know what you're saying. Well, it's like when we were doing Busy Tonight, like E's online team would be like, okay, we're gonna come by and do a bunch of YouTube videos with Busy, and like we're gonna ask her like what her favorite colors are, like, and then we'd be like, how is that gonna make people want to watch the show? And they'd be like, I don't know, people are just gonna watch it on YouTube. And we would be like, it's not compelling content, and it doesn't have anything to do with the show, and it's not gonna go viral, and like it's not an insight into who she is as a host, and like not to be like a naysayer or whatever. So yeah, I do see like a lot of celebrities that are like, watch me like wrap a present or whatever. And you're just like, why?
I know. That's why all respect to my best friend, Michelle Williams. She's
just
like
off.
She's like literally like, no, it's never happening. Sorry. And if you follow someone that you really think is her online, guys, she's not online. She's
not
just
on
not
there.
online.
Can I tell you something funny, by the way? On my Sirius show, still possibly to this day, but for the first 2 years, they showed a picture of Destiny's Child, Michelle Williams, on the radio. Like for my picture, they had, everybody thought Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child had a morning show on Sirius, and they would DM me on Instagram. So she's going to be on our show, I think in 2 weeks, which I'm obviously so excited. The other Michelle Williams. So I'm going to try to make her my best friend, so that next time I come on this podcast, I'll be like, well, my best friend Michelle Williams said.
Honestly, nothing would make me
want to like
happier.
have a same here, by the way, because I do love her. Another one who got a bad break in life, like was in the most successful, and it ties into your show, actually, Busy, but one of the most successful girl groups ever. And then I feel like poor Michelle for real, because like Kelly had a thing, and obviously Beyonce, and she was a talent, you know?
She's
Anyways.
very talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Not
know
all
what
of
the
them.
story is. I mean, I do think that
don't
like
either really,
these machines, like the pop star machines and the Simon Cowells of the world and the Lou Pearlman and the Lou Pearlmans of the world. It's just like always like men with like giant dollar signs in their eyes who are like vampires, and they take the like youth and beauty and talent of these young people. It's a bummer. And we make a lot of fun of it on Girls 5 Eva. No, I'm kidding. We don't actually. That's like what,
Tune
like,
in. No.
It's truly what I loved about the show, is that it is about these like women who, when they were teens, were manufactured, were put together in a group and thought that they had agency, and then realize as adults, like, oh wait, we don't even own the songs. We can't sing them without paying someone. Like, and also our songs are gross. Like, what were we saying? Like, what are these messages? And then trying to like reclaim and take control of their own, creative future. So
Can't wait
it's
to
a fun
watch
show, guys.
tomorrow.
I know, it's
Are
exciting.
you excited, Caissie?
I am excited to
As
watch
my friend.
it. I'm excited to watch it. I am excited for you.
I think you guys are going to like it. Okay, guys.
One thing we have to talk about, Bill
What?
and Melinda.
I forgot. What a great.
Speaking of Raya, is he going to pop up on Raya?
I'm so happy that I'm the only single one of the three of us that I actually have a shot. No offense, girls, but now is my time. Patience is going to pay off for little old Mish. No, I'm not kidding. And by the way, yeah.
Would you hit
See
it?
it? I feel like he's probably cheap. For the right Dell laptop, yes. For the right Dell laptop, I would. Yes. You know what the problem is? I bet you he's very cheap.
You
I
think?
can't explain it, even though he's
Yeah.
generous.
I bet you is.
He,
too.
he has that waspy look of a guy who wears the same LL Bean khakis
Yeah.
every day. He's one of those, I feel. Where
Right.
it's not, there's no extravagance in the Gates household, even though they live in a beautiful mansion. But
there is that thing about super, super wealthy people where they're like, oh yeah, we love this, island on the East Coast we summer every year at. And you're like, the houses are crumbling to the ground and there
Yes.
are ticks everywhere. Why is this the vacation spot of the richest people in the
Right,
world?
I have to
don't
tell you
understand.
something. Yes. The times that I've been to Cape Cod, where in my mind I was picturing like Bad Boys opening credits, like me on a boat, like, just crazy exciting. And I've slept in a spider's nest. Like I'll get there, I'm like, this is my bed. It's like in the web. Just not chic. Yeah.
Years and years and years and years ago, a fancy friend took me to Martha's Vineyard. When I tell you it was the worst 4 days of my life, it is not an exaggeration. It was not restful
Really?
nor relaxing. There were so many bugs. I was sweating the entire time. And there's no air conditioning, but the ocean is fucking freezing and rough. It wants to kill you, so you can't even get in it. I was like, what is this bullshit? Who are these rich ass people that think that this is like a vacation? Anyway,
My mother lives in Cape Cod. There are very normal people. There's also like an opioid epidemic there in Cape Cod. So there's a
Is there?
range. There's a range.
It's a beautiful place.
Here's
It's
what you're
nice.
saying,
Beautiful.
Michelle.
I'm just saying it was like cabins.
Yes.
yeah, here's
Well,
what you're saying
yeah.
that Bill Gates gives you East Coast
East Coast wealthy vibes.
crumbling mansion vibes.
I very much get old canvas totes in his trunk.
Yeah,
like
no.
I just feel like there's not a lot of elegance happening. You know what I mean? Like dirty,
Yeah.
like those
Yeah.
off-white ones.
Anything fancy happening with the Gates might be because of like Melinda. Anything fancy and generous might be because of her.
Have all the American billionaires now gotten divorced?
I was thinking that too. I was
Yeah.
wondering, is
Or-
it possible
or,
to stay married to a billionaire?
Lorraine Jobs was obviously widowed. So Lorraine Jobs and now Melinda Gates, and we know Jeff Bezos, Mackenzie Bezos.
Mackenzie Scott,
They got
right?
Mackenzie
Bezos,
Scott.
whatever.
They divorced.
But Jeff doesn't have those cheapy vibes to me. Maybe because he's got such a nice bald head. But I
Yeah,
feel
he's
like
like a
Jeff actually
No,
does spend money.
He spends
He's
money,
like
but
a
he's also like
supervillain.
Yeah.
he's a supervillain, and
Exactly.
he's like so
That's right.
he's like he's definitely willing to like put you on a private jet to his like giant yacht, but he won't pay his workers a living wage nor provide
That's right.
child care for them or health care.
That's exactly right. Meanwhile, my Amazon delivery is here. Are we like buzz like an hour
I
ago?
try
I'm like,
so
it's
hard. You guys-
Honestly, evil.
I try so hard. I try so hard not to fucking Amazon shit, but then sometimes you're just like, bah, I need it.
I don't do it that often. I did it recently with Starbucks nitro cans because for me, again, not having a car, just let me finish. Not having a car, I like to usually go to Costco, get my iced coffees, get my Essenchas, my Pellegrinos. I have nowhere to get there. So I have to Amazon liquids now to my house because I have no way to carry them.
'Cause they're
here.
heavy.
It's a long story.
Michelle,
so
I have
heavy
a
and I'm
car
so
though,
weak.
and I'm here in the
Yes.
city, and so I would love like a journey to Costco with you. That would be super fun.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding.
Is he like, don't
We
tease
can
a gal
flatten-
because
I
my
have-
dream would be to go to Costco with you.
Yeah, no, it would be so fun. Also, I'm a mom. I have like kind of like a little SUV thing. We can put the seats down and then all that paper towel everything can just go
And then
in
you
that
can
bag.
then you can make authentic Instagram content.
Exactly. You can do so many reels.
Again, my eyeballs are like spinning. Like if truly like when you probably like offer drugs to an addict, what you just said to me, I feel my blood coursing through my veins like sand. Like I cannot wait to go to Costco with you. And I will say the Kirkland brand paper towels are better than the Bounties. You heard it here first. I'll go to my grave saying it.
I'm a big fan of
Grave saying
Kirkland,
it, the best.
which is I bet that's what I bet is Bill Gates' favorite brand of.
I bet
khakis.
Kirkland. Yeah, I bet you he's a Costco shopper too. You know,
Don't you think he always has a urine stain? I don't know how to put it. Like I feel like he always has a bit of a piss
Ew.
stain. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
I
talking
do,
about,
and I
Casey.
don't like
That
it.
kind of guy.
He should double up on his undies.
wow.
His
What a
khakis.
seg into art.
Well, speaking of billionaires who need to
Oh.
wear 2 pairs of underpants, our guest today makes
What?
billionaires cry.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay. I was
nice.
like, how are you going to do this? You did it.
Is that a
did it.
good? We always try to like do a seg on the fly, and
But we
just like
we don't write anything. We don't prepare, and then. But you know what? She does make billionaires cry.
She's done it,
and occasionally shit themselves.
yeah. So
She's my number one favorite, and I just want to say that I am so blessed to be here with both of you on the same episode with her. So thank you for having me.
Guys, it was a dream come true for Caissie and I to get to talk to Elizabeth Warren. Senator Warren has a new book out called Persist. I was just like super excited that this was the week that we got to talk to her, because I was like 2 days ago crying and saying, I guess there's no point to anything. But Elizabeth Warren says, persist. Guys, this is a true story. They're advertising on our podcast now. But when I moved to New York, someone on the Girls Five Eva set said, did you get a birdie? And I said, well, I have a kid named Birdie. So yes, I have a birdie. And then they said, no. You need to get a birdie. It's like this little personal safety alarm that's easy to carry, and it's very simple to use. And if you ever feel like you're in danger in the city, if you're ever like walking to the store late at night, if you're ever walking to your car in a parking lot, you have it on your keychain, and it's so simple. So I went ahead and I ordered like 15 because that's just who I am, guys. I don't do anything small. They're called She's Birdie, and they're incredible. I got one for my birdie because, you know, my birdie is getting to be like a teenager, and I got one for Sarah Beth. I got one for Mark because let's be real. You got to be safe. So when you activate the birdie with a quick pull, the alarm emits 130 decibel siren, and it flashes a strobe light that helps deter an attack. And unlike pepper spray or other deterrents, birdie is not a danger to you. So you can feel confident using it without the worry.
you know what I love about Birdie? It's really cute.
It's super cute. I have the little blue one, and I got a bunch of different colors for everyone in my house. Mark, of course, went with the black one. Listen, it goes wherever you go. The alarm comes in many colors, has a brass keychain. You attach it to your keys or your bag. I just like, if I ever am feeling weird, instead of doing that thing with your keys where you put them between your knuckles, you just have your birdie. And you're like, okay, I know that if somebody tries something, I've got this like super crazy alarm that's going to go off, and the lights are going to flash, and it's going to be a deterrent to them. Over 300,000 birdie alarms have been sold. They have had thousands of 5-star reviews. Join the flock today for a safer tomorrow. Right now, She's Birdie is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase when you go to shesbirdie.com/best. Go to She's Birdie. That's spelled SHESBIRDIE.com/best for 15% off your first purchase. That's shesbirdie.com/best. Oh, each and every. You guys, we're back with some ads for you. with our friends, each and every. You've heard us talk about them for many months if you've been a fan of the pod for a while, because we genuinely love it. It's a natural deodorant, and I know what you're thinking. It doesn't work, but it does. I promise you it does. And it's formulated for sensitive skin, and it's founded by women. It's simple. It's very safe. It works. I know you're going to love it. I'm a huge fan. I use each and every day. I feel like it makes me smell real good.
It just smells so good. There's this limited edition white chamomile and bergamot scent. It smells so good.
I just got my latest delivery. I really go lavender because I need to be calmed at all moments. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know. So I do
whatever scents incorporate, whatever combination incorporates lavender, I'm like, give me that one. But it also uses, my teenager also uses it, and like I feel really confident, you know, giving them something that I know is non-toxic.
It's made with like 6 simple, safe ingredients: coconut oil, Dead Sea salt, essential oils.
And there's no hidden chemicals, no parabens. And it really provides odor protection equal to an antiperspirant without aluminum. It's going to keep you dry, odor-free all day. I wear it when I work out, guys. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, you've seen the videos. You know she works out hard.
And to top it off,
there
what?
you go.
Tell me.
You were going to say it.
What? You tell me.
It has unique sugarcane packaging, the first eco-conscious carbon-negative packaging used in deodorant. That's
Genius.
amazing. We love that.
We love it. So, guys, you should trust us. Each and every will be your new favorite deodorant. We have a special offer just for our listeners, 30% off your first purchase. 30%!
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That is 30%. That's a friends and family discount. Any of my friends who like have brands or companies or whatever, their friends and family discount is 30%. So, guys, you're friends and family with each and every and with us. So go to eachandevery.com/best and enter the promo code BEST30. Remember, for 30% off, it's promo code BEST30 at eachandevery.com/best. Senator Warren, you're getting to see me at my most me.
Yeah. I like that.
You thought perhaps I would have myself together today
collected.
but
Yes.
I don't. I'm sweating now. I have
That's good. That's good. Sweat is a good thing.
But you know what? I have to say, I do feel, and I am press. I did press record.
You did.
Caissie,
Thank
so
gosh.
yeah.
Okay.
I do have to say, I kind of weirdly feel like there's no better way for me to start this conversation about Persist and about the things that we all need to keep fighting for than for me to be harried coming from my other job. Not a joke, running downstairs to make sure that a birthday present got taken to the birthday party that my husband, in between his call, was shuttling our little one to. And I'm doing press for another job. And now I'm here with this incredible opportunity to chat with you, with Caissie, about your book. But I mean, first and foremost, you know, childcare is always the thing that jumps out, right? And I think about you, and truly I think about Aunt B a lot. I just want you to know.
Yeah. Yep. And think about how you'd like to sign up to get an Aunt B.
We love Aunt B.
No, I mean, listen, make no mistake. My privilege of being a working actor when I was on a television show with my daughter was 1 when I started filming Cougar Town is no joke. I get it. But previous to that, and I wrote about this in my book, from the housing bubble of 2008, which you talked in great deal about in your book as well, I basically had to short sale a house. I was almost completely broke at age 29. I had this baby and I had to go back to work as an actress, and I got cast on Cougar Town, and I asked the woman that had periodically been helping me if she could come with me to set with the baby. And so even me, on a television show, people wouldn't expect it, but I was having a hard time securing childcare, but also being able to afford it until the checks came in for Cougar Town, It's something that's so relatable to so many parents, and it seems totally unreasonable that we haven't fixed this yet.
And that's the heart of what the book Persist is about. It's about how much policy, including bad policies, touch us personally and how change is possible. And that's what keeps me and a lot of other people in the fight for ourselves, and particularly in the case of childcare, for our daughters, for our granddaughters. You know, I tell a story, as you know, in Persist, about twice for me, I almost didn't finish my education because I had a baby and I had everything so worked out. And then childcare nearly destroyed me. I just couldn't get it, couldn't afford it, couldn't find it. And then a few years later, I get my first full-time tenure track teaching job. I am so excited. I am busting my tail. You know, when I'm doing as so many moms know, I talk about, you know, trying to do 85 things at once, and I'm getting home and I'm trying to get food done and get kids bathed and everybody fed, and I'm doing laundry at 11 o'clock at night and class prep at midnight. I can do insanely busy, but the part that broke me was childcare.
Yeah.
And it's because you just literally can't do it. What am I going to do? I cannot bring two little tiny children to my class while I teach. You can't.
No.
And it's also how awful it makes you feel. You know, it's that you feel like you don't have your child situated in a good place. And here you are trying to work, you're trying to do other things, trying to finish your education, and you just can't do it. And what gets to me on this is this was my problem 2 generations ago.
I know.
Right.
Then it was my daughter's problem when she had babies. And if we don't fix this, this is going to be my granddaughter's problem if she has babies. Damn it, it is time to finish this and get it fixed.
And it's so interesting because I do a ton of interviews. I just did a whole day of a press junket for my new show, and people ask me about mom guilt, mom guilt, mom guilt, mom guilt. And all I can ever think is like, I didn't have mom guilt because I was able to afford a full-time caretaker who I knew was taking wonderful care of my children and bringing them to visit me when they could and taking them to classes and interacting with them. And that was my privilege of being on a television show and making that money. And so the guilt of me like leaving them to go work was so much less because I
you had
knew
a good situation
that they were being taken care of in a way that I would want to take care of them. And I have so many friends and my sister, and where we don't live in the same way we did where family was around. We don't all have an Aunt B who's retired and is like, let me come help you with this. And for those women, especially, we know the choice gets made and they just can't. They cut it off. They're like, well, this is the choice, and the choice is that I'm going to stay home now.
Yeah.
And we're losing so much in the workforce.
But because that's the thing. We had a crisis before the pandemic, and then the pandemic has just driven so many women either out of the workforce altogether or sidelined them in their careers. They've gone to part-time. They haven't taken on full-time work, haven't been able to respond in the same way. And here's the thing. We need to make, and this is the argument I make in the book. I talk about the personal stories, my own and those of people I love. But I also make the argument we need to make this investment. If we want people to go to work, look, we invest in roads and bridges. We invest in broadband communications. Why? So people can go to work, so businesses can actually get things done. If you want to see productivity go up in the United States, invest in childcare so that parents can go to work and know that their children are in a place that's high quality, that's safe, that's affordable, that's actually available. And so for me, that's what this moment in time is about. This is a big part of why I wrote this book, is to talk about, look at all that's happened in the last year. We've made it through a pandemic, a racial reckoning, an armed insurrection. We have a new president. And now we have already passed the biggest rescue package in history, and we have our toes right on the line. The next 100 days, we're going to make critical decisions about what's possible in this country. And for so long, the opportunities for change, those doors have been closed and bolted and double locked. And now, because of all that's happened, the doors are open. They're not wide open, but they're open a little bit. Mm-hmm. And we have this moment when we can lower our shoulder, run at it hard, and make some big deal changes that would affect people's lives. Childcare, student loan debt, care for seniors, a wealth tax to bring in more revenue, things that would make big structural differences in our economy. Housing, healthcare, we could do those things.
Senator Warren, one thing that I love that you said in the book is that what you learned in 2008 was two things. You don't get what you don't fight for.
Yep.
And two, during a crisis, the door to change opens just a crack. And I do think that we've all sort of felt that in this past year and a half now, that the door is open a crack. Where it feels sometimes to me, I just personally, as somebody who is an activist, who does try to do all of the work, who tries to use the platform, but then also all the other means to helping the people on the front lines make the changes and dictate what the policy should be. It does feel sometimes, though, like insurmountable. And I recently, with the trans laws that are being passed, sorry I'm getting emotional, but I just am. I am, because I care deeply about people in our country. And when I was younger, I thought, well, I'm lucky I live in California, so abortion will never be an issue for me or my friends or people I know or my kids. They'll have rights and they'll be able to marry who they want to marry. And now I'm just looking at this landscape of these dudes in these states who are being so insidious with their passage of laws in order to take a run at the Supreme Court that they think now is in their favor. And what do we do, Senator Warren? Help me.
So the first thing you do is you take a deep breath, center yourself, and then you remember how much power you have. You have an amazing amount of power. You specifically do, Busy, but so does everyone who is listening to this. Look, why do you think so many corporations have stepped up on the trans issues and on voting issues in particular? And we've watched it. It's not because they suddenly grew a conscience. It's because they realize there are so many people out there who are customers, who are employees, and that we as a group are paying attention. We're paying more attention, and we will lift our voices, and we will talk about the things that touch us personally and that we are willing to fight back against. It's part of when I talk about in this book, the importance of persistence. It's the importance of identifying how you're affected, why you care. And it can be because of your heart. You care about these issues and that you're going to be there today and tomorrow and the next day. And when people start to realize that, when elected officials in Washington start to realize that, it changes how the conversation works. Let me give you an example. Childcare. Do you think that presidents were talking about childcare when they addressed the nation back in the 1970s? Nope. Right. In the 80s? Right. In the 90s? Nope, not on your life. The early 2000s? How about in the teens? And the answer is no, 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 no. But boy, particularly over this last year, we're out there. We're talking about it. We recognize that change is within our reach. And so here we are. I got to be a presidential candidate.
I know.
Who gave literally dozens and dozens and dozens of town halls, and at virtually every one of them, I started out talking about childcare and got lots of men and lots of women and lots of kids and lots of seniors to at least think a little about, I might want a president that cares about childcare. And then last week, Joe Biden stood up, addressed the nation, and talked about childcare, said he wants to put $425 billion over the next 10 years for childcare and early childhood education. He wants us as a nation to make an investment in childcare. Now, you know me. It needs to be a little bigger. We have some details on the plans.
Yes.
But think, just for a minute, stop and savor that kind of change. And why did it happen? It happened because of you. It happened because of people who are listening to this podcast. It happened because we got in the fight and said, this matters. And now you can feel it starting to move. And that means, boy, this is the moment. Double down.
Put your shoulder into it.
Put your shoulder into it. Exactly right. This is the moment. When the door opens a crack, drop your shoulder, right? And run as hard as you can at it. Because the change we make will be the changes for right now, but they'll be the changes for generations to come.
Yeah. One thing that I loved so much about your book, we were talking a little bit about it earlier. I think people think of you as the woman with the plans and that you're so great at policy. You just have this mind for policy. But what you said to me earlier is that policy is personal. People think of policy and they think, oh, this is dry and it's legal and it's official. But when you start to attach those to, oh, this has to do with my aunt and her health, and this has to do with my mom or my child or me and my future, then policy is personal. And so when I first became interested in politics was when I had been working in television for years and things started to change in television. And I went from having regular health insurance to all these companies being like, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. Like, we're not going to give you health insurance anymore. It's just like, you're not going to have it. And then suddenly I had a family and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to insure my family. And there were years when we scrambled, and that's when I started to be like, wait, like, this isn't a given. This is like a thing that I always just assumed would be a given. It had been a given my whole entire life. That's when I really began to be like, oh no, like the floor just dropped out. That's when it became personal for me. And I was kind of embarrassed that it hadn't been before.
You know, Caissie, though, I think that's it. We all have different awakenings at different moments and things that really start to hit us, right, about how the world works. I start this book, I take all the perspectives. I think about what I bring to a fight and others. So I organize this book around being a mother, a teacher, a planner, a fighter, exactly, a learner, and a woman.
Yeah.
And I try to talk about how different pieces fit together for me and for people I love. Because ultimately, if we don't make this move, if we don't say now is the time and let's make change, we're all going to be poor. You know, this is the thing about childcare. Let me stick with childcare for a minute. We know the personal reasons for childcare, right? You talk about them, I talk about them. For me, I wouldn't have finished my education. I would have quit my first big professional job. No, maybe someday I'd have gotten back on the track. Then again, maybe not. There's no way to know that. I think about how many other women were knocked off in my generation, in my daughter's generation. How many will be knocked off in my granddaughter's generation? But here's the thing. Even if you don't have children and don't worry about childcare, you don't know anyone who has children and worries about, you don't like children and worry about childcare, whatever your position is, you should care about universal child care. And here's why. Starting back in the 1970s, as more and more mothers, not just women, we already had a lot of women who didn't have children were in the workforce, but as mothers started going into the workforce, GDP in the United States went up. Productivity goes up. We become richer as a nation. And year by year, you watch more and more mothers of children going into the workforce. This is my generation doing this. You're welcome, right? Yes. That the country got richer. Then what happens around the year 2000 is it just
a lot
stops.
of things. Y2K.
Yeah, a lot of things happen. But it
a lot
stops.
of things happened, truly.
It's true. And it just flattens out and actually declines a little. Childcare is so hard to get. The overall trying to put this together gets harder and harder. So we see fewer and fewer women with children in the workforce. So there was a study done after this, just a couple of years ago, and it said if the United States, if women had continued to go into the workforce, mothers, at the same rate that they did in several other countries around the world, Norway, then our entire economy right now would be $1.5 trillion richer.
Oh, my Lord.
And I say that by way of saying, think about what that means. Invest in each other and we all do better.
But this
Senator
is, okay.
Warren, I have so many deep theories about this. I want to take you out for so many beers to talk about this.
I am so ready.
Same. Caissie, this is a thing that Caissie and I have talked about for years. Partially because, you know, at its very, very kernel of a core, it's about the patriarchy and white supremacy, and it's about these bros wanting to keep themselves in power, so perpetrating cultural ideas that reinforce these horrible fucking things that young women watch and learn. Sorry, I just swore in front of a senator, Caissie. I'm so sorry.
I think she said hell or damn in her book.
Yeah, okay. I know, but I am embarrassed. My mother is going to be so mad at me, Senator Warren.
But there's something uniquely American about like the patriarchy being like, you know what, it might be good for our gross national product, but we're willing to trade on that to maintain patriarchal power.
But you know, that's the thing. Nobody's going to give up power just because.
Right.
And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, and that Busy was making the point. You don't get what you don't fight for.
That's right.
So this really is. This is our fight. This is my fight. This is your fight, and it is the fight of every person today who is ready to say enough. That's what this book is about. It says it lays out the agenda. You know me. I've always got a plan.
Yeah, I love the plan.
And says, here are the pieces we need if we're really going to build an America of opportunity, not just for some, but opportunity for everyone.
Oh, so good. Well, we always talk about pivots on this show. So I do want to get your pivot story because I told Busy on the phone last night, you're practically made of pivots.
I was just going to say which one you want to start with.
Like, what would you say was your biggest pivot in your life, the one that had the most impact on your life?
Oh, wow. So I tell you what, how about I'll lay out a little buffet and you can pick.
Okay.
When I got fired when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I made the decision to go back to school, and of all the crazy things, and it felt crazy, to go to law school. I mean, here I am, this kid who's grown up in Oklahoma. I'm the first in my family to graduate from college and get this teaching job. Making that pivot, big one, but I'll give you a second one. Divorce. That's a big pivot. And then when I started teaching in law, I had traded, I started out, I was a special ed teacher.
Yeah.
And I had 4 to 6-year-olds, and I tell stories about them in the book. Making the transition, so now I'm teaching in law school. I'm teaching much taller people in law school. I love teaching in law school. Giving that up to go to run for elected office. I mean, that's a big pivot.
Yeah, it really is. Do you still feel like a teacher?
Oh, yeah. I still have teaching dreams.
Oh, wow.
You do?
I do.
I mean, listen, Senator Warren, you were my choice. I voted for you in the California primaries.
Thank you.
But I think one thing that the plans speak to, and one thing that I think made you my candidate, was your ability to teach. I'm not a scholar. I don't know the intricacies of the law, and I don't know the ins and outs of so many things. I only know what I feel is right for all and what I'd like to see. And so you being able to teach at these town halls, watching them, I never attended one. I don't love crowds, but I wanted to.
Wait,
but
you're
I couldn't.
an actress and you don't love crowds? I just want to make sure I'm following this.
I get very like, that's what I was always so impressed. I'm kind of a germaphobe too, but I would watch your selfie lines and I was like, oh my God, all of those germs. Like, it would have driven me insane, but I know you loved the personal connection.
I do. I love those pinky promises.
The pinky promises. But the teacher came through, Senator Warren, and you really did help, I think, whether people were going to vote for you or whether they had their hearts set on another candidate. I think that you were able to crystallize for a lot of people the importance of certain issues and why they needed to be taken seriously in the debates and in town halls and snippets that were taken and put on the news and into the ether of the internet. So I feel like that background, it has been incredibly helpful for me personally.
Yeah.
But I wonder, moving forward, as we're persisting and we're going to make these plans a reality, how do you envision the participation of the public?
So it's very sweet of you to say that. You know, this is what I loved about running for president, but also why, when I dropped out, I turned right around and found other ways to work on this same set of issues. That's what persistence is. It's not, well, gee, I had this one plan and I've got to follow this one plan. Maybe it means you have to pivot. If that one doesn't work, then you find another one. But it was such an incredible opportunity to be able to talk about, like I said, like childcare and the investments we could make, to be able to talk about the wealth tax over and over, because the wealth tax is about power, and it's about power in corporations. It's about power in Washington, and it's about, as a nation, trying to get some of that back into our children who don't have a lot of power. They don't have a lot of lobbyists on their side. So to me, the way we make this happen is we do exactly what you and I are doing right now. We talk about it. Mm-hmm. We get out there and we talk about it. We don't let it go away. We don't say, well, I voted in November, so I'm done. Right. Or I voted in November and then I watched Joe Biden's address to the nation last week. Check that box. It's to remember, as Caissie and I were talking about earlier, it's personal, and part of personal means you're willing to fight for it at least a little bit every single day. And here's the amazing thing. Getting in that fight matters. Yeah. It matters. It matters. And we're watching it move and matter. So I'll give you an example around this. Student loan debt. When I first went to Congress, nobody's talking about it. I mean, not at all. I put together my very first bill as a fresh new senator. And it's very modest compared to where we are right now. But it says, let's refinance student loan interest rates to bring them down so people can pay off their debt faster. Do you know how many co-sponsors I could get for that bill?
I have a feeling not a lot.
Zero.
Zero.
None. Not none. Because it was that far out there. It was so beyond what anybody was talking about. But I went out and talked about it publicly and, tweeted about it and posted Facebook and so on. And by golly, in no time at all, there were people all around this country saying, sign me up. And also saying, and while you're at it, how about we just get rid of some of this debt? And it grew until a couple of things happened. President Obama canceled some student loan debt. Now, it was a narrow slice, but wiped out student loan debt for some people who had been cheated by for-profit colleges. President Trump, during the pandemic, canceled all interest on all student loan debt, no matter who you were and whether you could manage it or not manage it. That's $5 billion a month, just gone. President Biden has now done the same thing. So we've watched 3 presidents in a row take on debt cancellation. And we are now in a place where in 2020, every Democrat who was running in the primary had some version of student loan debt cancellation. And we now have a president who we're talking about how it should be done, how much should be done. $50,000 should be canceled. That's what Chuck Schumer and I are pushing hard for. And it is possible. It's within our grasp. That didn't happen because of me. It happened because of us. It happened because of our persistence. We push it through. It's going to be life-changing. Yep.
So, okay, are the calls to your senators, are they necessary? Do they work?
Yes, ma'am, they work. In fact, I'll tell you.
Wait, say it again. Say it again for the people at home, guys.
Calls to your senators, calls to your representatives work, as do emails.
What if your senator is on the same page as you? Does it still count?
Yes,
Is it still worth it?
because it moves it up in the priority. Mm-hmm. Every senator has a brain that is only this big. It's obviously bigger than their heads, but it's finite. It's just this big, and there are 80 bazillion things going on in Congress at any one time, and people try to prioritize and what they care about. Every time you call and say this matters to me, it moves closer to the center of that brain. It moves up. And so even if your senators, even if your rep is one of the good ones, it is important to call and get your issue moved up on the attention list. And here's another little hint. The more it moves up on your senator's attention list, the more it moves up on the leader of the Senate's list, on the Speaker of the House's list, and on the President of the United States list. So you get real bang for your buck out of this. Phone calls, emails, texts, and doing things publicly. So posting about it on Facebook, telling your story, retweeting when other people talk about it. These are what put wind in our sails. I talk about in the book about change and how it comes about. And part of it is, I think of this as an inside-outside game. So I'm on the inside. I'll figure out a path. We need a statute, and I've already written it. It's a pending bill to change childcare. We don't need a statute. We need a president of the United States who will just sign a release to get rid of student loan debt. So there's 2 things. Mm-hmm. That's my job on the inside, to identify the ways around it and what the language is and so on. But we need wind from the outside. Mm-hmm. We need enough Americans. We need enough people saying, yes, we need to get this done. We do that, that's how we'll make change.
That is a hot tip straight from Senator Elizabeth Warren, everyone. One thing I wanna compliment you on, and I think it's useful to probably a lot of people that are listening to this podcast. You talk about corruption, you talk about housing, education, healthcare, economy, all of the problems with that. But you also very pointedly say that none of the problems with any of these things will be fixed without dismantling racism. And specifically that it's not enough to be not racist. You must work toward being anti-racist. And that is a huge deal. And so I just want to give you a round of applause for that.
Thank you. Policy is not race neutral.
No.
So you could look at something like our housing policy in America right now. You say, well, look as much as you want. It won't say anything about African Americans or communities of color. But here's the deal. Housing is the number one way that Americans build wealth. You buy a house, it appreciates over time, you pay it off. If you're really lucky, you can roll it over to the next generation. Grandma and grandpa die in it, and the next generation does a little better. No surprise that the federal government, for decades, subsidized the purchase of homes for white people and undercut the purchase of homes for black people. It's called redlining. And this was federal law until the mid-1960s. So mid-1960s, we said we're not going to do that anymore. But it had already created this huge racial wealth gap in America. And so just having neutral laws, anyone can live anywhere, theoretically, but not paying attention to that housing gap and all that comes from that wealth gap that it creates. Differences in education, differences in health outcomes, differences in total economic security. All of that has been embedded in the system. People ask, what is structural racism? That's structural racism.
Yeah.
And it's not enough as a country for us to say, well, we're not enacting new racist laws. No, we have to be anti-racist. We have to see it, call it out, and put plans in place to counteract the racist effects. So that's another part. There's a whole chapter in the book about this, as you know.
Yeah, it was amazing. There's one other thing I really, really want to compliment you on, and I know that Busy does as well, because I know it was thrilling to both of us, which is you talk a lot about I lost and that was hard for me. I wasn't used to it. You were historic. You played an historic role in this presidential election in the way that you handled Michael Bloomberg during the debates. You said, not today, Michael Bloomberg, not another billionaire. You shut him down. You turned it. You know what I mean? And in the end, you don't need a pep talk from me, Senator Warren. You know what you did. But
she knows what she did.
You know what you did. But for us women, and just the way that we were feeling after 4 years, it was very cathartic and it was my version of a Marvel movie. What happened on that debate stage.
You were essentially promising young woman, but in the presidential election on the stage of the debates.
So we would like to thank you for not letting it go. You have a lot of metaphors in the book about punching and teeth on the floor, which is also very cathartic. So we would like to thank you for not letting it go. You stood up for women, and it felt like you stood up for us, and you changed the wind.
Well, thank you. For me, it was about power. It was about who has it, who doesn't, and who ain't going to give it up unless somebody makes him. And Michael Bloomberg thought he could buy that primary. He thought he could just roll over the fact that he had, heaven only knows, how many non-disclosure agreements out there from whatever he had said or done to women through the years. And to me, that wasn't just I disagree with him or disagree with him on policy. I saw him as a genuine threat to our democracy. If we traded one billionaire for another, one person who treated women with disrespect for another, one person who couldn't hear what people were saying to him over stop and frisk in New York City, over what he had said to his own women employees, then this whole idea that democracy is about us, it's about what we build from the grassroots up. No, it becomes just the billionaire versus billionaire game. And we can't do that as a nation. I wrote Persist because I do believe in power. Power matters. It matters in this country. It matters for the future we build. But I believe that the Michael Bloombergs of the world, the Donald Trumps of the world, right now, they have too much power. But the rest of us, when we put our shoulder to it, the rest of us ultimately have much more. We just have to be willing to take it on personally, to take on this fight personally, and to make the changes that matter most to us. And I believe we can do it. I'm an optimist here.
I mean, you're keeping me on the optimistic path, because I have been feeling in the last couple of weeks, every day my email from the ACLU is like another gut punch. I'm on the board for the Center for Reproductive Rights, and I was able to testify before Congress. And even in that experience, I thought, well, certainly these tides will be changing a bit. And nope, they're just back to their same old games of stripping women's rights. And one more thing I really did want to talk to you about was WIPA, the Women's Health Protection Act. If we're going to get it in this administration, do you think?
I hope so. Right now, the focus at this moment is on infrastructure, and then I think right interwoven with that is going to be voting. But these core issues, like protecting access to abortion, are the kinds of things that, look, about 70% of America thinks Roe versus Wade should be the law of America, the whole country. Wherever you are on that spectrum, that's where the majority, it's just under 3 out of every 4 Americans. In a democracy, that means we ought to be able to get that, not from the courts, I'm not going to rely on the Supreme Court. I want to move this over to the legislation. We should be able to pass these laws. Again, it's about raising our voices. And the way I see it, it's about 2 things. It's about a series of economic issues for women. If you don't have control over your body, you don't have control over your economic future either. Yeah. But it's also about power. Mm-hmm. I tell the story in the book about being in Indiana.
I know. I was crying.
I know. It made me cry too. We were doing a selfie line, and a woman comes up to me and reaches over and gives me a big hug, and then whispers in my ear about how her daughter had been raped by her coach, and how this young person had gone through the trauma of rape and then had to go through the trauma of trying to get an abortion in a state that had tried to put up as many blocks as it could. And she said, please keep fighting for access to abortion. And I thought of this as this young woman who had been through this terrible trauma needed to be treated with some dignity and respect. If she had a decision to make, she should decide who's going to help her. Her mother, her doctor, her pastor. But it is not the role of the government to step in and tell her what she must do. And again, it's why I talk about, in all these cases, these fights are personal. They are us. They are our sisters, our daughters, our sons who are affected by what we do. And it's why it is so powerfully important for us to connect to the reasons that these policies are made, and to say, and I'm just going to keep these 3 or 4 in front of me, and every chance I get, I'm just going to push them a little more, because 1 million people do that, we start to make change. 10 million people do that, oh, we're on the way. 100 million people do it, we have made change. That's where we're headed. We persist and we make the changes we need to make.
I love how you talk very quiet when you get like impassioned about things, because I talk very loud when I get impassioned about things. But I appreciate, but I like listen more. And now I see the power. I see the power in it.
That's the teacher.
I know. I love it.
It's the teacher way.
Yes.
Wait, also, by the way, for our listeners at home, we did just see Bailey's little cute fluffy butt.
I was going to say, Bailey was,
out.
if you heard a little breathing, it was none of us. It was Bailey was having a little breathing.
He was just like wandering in, and I got very excited. It's like seeing a celebrity.
A real celebrity sighting.
It's a real celebrity sighting when Bailey comes in. He graced us with his presence.
He comes to check what's going on.
Senator Warren, other than we'll take President Biden and Vice President Harris off of the table. Who was your favorite among the presidential nominees that you were against?
Oh, now, you're never allowed to say this. I cannot possibly
Who did you like the best?
But
Who was the most fun?
Oh, who was a lot of fun for me was Julian Castro.
You love Julian
I
Castro.
love Julian, and it's probably pretty clear from the book. I think Julian is fabulous. He's smart and thoughtful, and he's an idea guy.
Yeah.
And that's always lots and lots of fun. And look, Bernie's out there. He's passionate. He's deeply engaged. It was interesting. There were a lot of folks. But look, let's face it. It was a big crowded field.
Yeah.
I understand that. But people who care, people who are willing to turn their lives upside down because they care about the direction our country's going. And in a general sense, we were all aiming in the same direction. Mm-hmm. We wanted to get rid of Donald Trump as president of the United States. And by golly, once Joe Biden had the nomination, we all did what we could. All of us. It isn't just me. Lots of folks. What we could do to try to bring as many people in, to turn out the vote, to have people engaged. And that's how we did it. Joe Biden ultimately ran on the most progressive agenda we've had in decades. Remember, he ran on canceling student loan debt.
Right.
He ran that whole Build Back Better was about making real investments going forward. He ran on a full set of progressive issues because that's what that year was about. A pandemic, we need a government on our side. A racial reckoning, we need a government that believes in justice and is willing to make change to produce that justice. And now that's a big part. He won by 7 million votes. That's more than anybody has ever won any election before. Now is the chance
to make
the change. We got it. Doors open, just a crack. Everybody ready? Lower your shoulder. Let's run at this.
I just want to say, because we have so many women who are listening, who are fans, who love you, who now know that calling their senators and their representatives is a thing that we need to keep doing because it really does work. And just the other thing that I want to ask you about, because I know you feel very passionately about this, like there might be someone listening to this who's like, I wish I could run for city council because I just feel like this is what we need. And so just give your elevator pitch before you have to run.
If you want to make change and you think you can do it, run for office. Look, I'm somebody who had never run for office before. I hadn't thought about it in a million years. But all of a sudden, things kind of lined up, and I looked left, looked right, and said, nobody else is going to beat this guy. I guess I better try. And that's what I did. And here's the thing. I was stunned. When I ran for Senate back in 2012 against a popular, well-funded incumbent Republican, let me say that again, here in Massachusetts, incumbent Republican with high approval ratings, the number of people that I didn't know, I wasn't in politics, who stepped forward and said, if you'll run, I'll help you. I'll get in there. I can do this part. I can't be the candidate, but I can be the one who handles the mailing. I can be the one that helps you raise some money. I can be the one that puts up posters or organizes people. I met people who decided. I met a woman, I still remember this. I met a woman in line in the last month before the election. She said, you're going to win. And I said, oh, thank you, just what do you say? The polling was, nip and tuck. I think I was behind by a couple of points. And she said, no. She said, my best friend and I decided 11 months ago that we wanted to help you win. And so twice a week, we changed our work hours, and twice a week, we stand out in the traffic circle near our home for 2 hours with Warren for Senate signs. And she said, and at first, people just looked at us like we were crazy. And, and then finally people started honking. And she said, now everybody honks. Everybody gives us, pump fist. That's how we know you're going to win. And when I heard this story, all I thought is, I've never met you. I don't know you. And God bless you. Yeah. You showed up and helped. So here's my pitch to everyone who's listening. Be the one who runs or be the one who helps someone who runs. Because that is truly one of the important steps to making change.
Yes. When we need more women in positions of power.
Yes.
And Senator Warren, I cannot thank you enough for gracing our little podcast with your impressive presence.
Thank you so much. The book is Persist.
The book is
it's
amazing.
Out now. It's amazing. Thanks, Mitch McConnell, for the catchphrase.
Well, I was going to say, because my husband, I think I'm going to go on record. This is the only good thing Mitch McConnell has ever done for our country. Guys, in case you forgot, because my husband forgot, that Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, was told to stop speaking during the confirmation of Jeff Sessions as U.S. Attorney General, but she did not stop speaking. Mm-hmm. And Mitch
Much
McConnell,
like we won't.
Much like we won't. Mitch McConnell, in his remarks after following the vote, said, Senator Warren, we told her to stop. Nevertheless, she persisted.
That's right. He moved to censure me and to get me to stop talking. I got thrown off the floor of the Senate on that line.
The thing, he thought that was an insult. Nevertheless, she persisted. That's the thing that's wild.
That's what it means to be a persistent woman, is that we just take those insults and we not only keep on rolling, we get stronger. And that's
turn
what
it into a book.
Yeah, it's our superpower.
Exactly. It's our
thank
superpower.
You so much.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
It's good to see both of you.
Nice
You're
to see
fabulous.
you
Take care and
Thanks.
Persist.
Yes.
Thank you.
Too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
You guys, Elizabeth Warren.
She's amazing. I mean, wow.
I mean it when I say it. I really like how she gets very quiet when she's saying something of great import because you have to listen. And maybe I should start to do that instead of what I've done for years, which is get very fucking loud. You guys.
You'll never do that. I say this.
I'm never going to do it.
You were talking about how Tina Fey does that. She's also like
she's a quiet talker.
She's a quiet talker. And then you're just like, you have to listen very intently to what she's saying. And it works.
I only quiet talk if I'm talking to someone loud. You ever do that? Like if you're at a dinner with someone who really talks loud and then like you can't tell them to shush. So you're just like, it's really funny because back when I was in school, like you have to really lower your voice so that they do it. Because, you know, if you're like with other people, it's embarrassing. Anyway, go on.
You have a high EQ, Michelle.
I think so too.
I think you do.
Nice.
You know, that was like one of the craziest, biggest insults that a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, was dating this guy, and he was just such a fucking dick. And he was also like, probably, you know, he was very smart, but like, okay, fine. And, but was just like a pretentious dick. And she kind of just didn't get it, like how much of a pretentious dick he was. And we were talking, and she's like, I mean, he really liked spending time with you. And I was like, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm on, like, I'm honest with my friends, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, listen, it wasn't my favorite hang. You know what I mean? I hope that he was just nervous, maybe intimidated by our closeness, and that in the future, maybe we can get to know each other better. And she goes, well, you know what he did say? He was like, Busy is just, she's so emotionally intelligent. I watched her do this thing, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, he just told you I was stupid. He just told you that he thought I was stupid.
Now you're doing a blind item.
Well, it is a blind item, but only because I don't want to. Well, it doesn't matter because, you know, where is that guy? Who was it? We don't even know.
I know.
Yeah. And ugh. Anyway.
But I think that's a nice thing to say. Was I being shaded just now? I think
no,
saying
I wasn't shading you.
Nice.
No, I wasn't shading you. That it is nice unless it's being said as an insult.
I got you.
Because
like that's the only way you're intelligent emotionally.
Yes, the only thing this guy could say about me was that I was emotionally intelligent. And I was like, fuck you. Fuck you, you fucking asshole. You know what? You're not. You're a dick. And he's gone. Well, I loved that conversation with Senator Warren. I do feel inspired. I'm so glad to know that calling your senators and your representatives is like a thing that it works.
It's effective, yeah, because sometimes it feels like you're just like shouting into your toilet.
I didn't know. And I thought like, does it really make a difference? They're just going to do what they're going to do. But Senator Warren, Michelle, told us, you know, keep calling, making those calls.
Like when people say, call your senator, I'm like, okay, grandma, let me first get off my skateboard. And I don't know. It just feels like a little wasteful. I agree. Toilet. Yeah.
She just was like,
so that's nice.
You got to do it. You have to do it. So we have to do it. So guys, we got to do it.
I'll do it for her.
All right. I'm going to do it for her too. I'm going to do it for, and my children and my children's children.
Oh, busy.
All right. Whatever.
Do it for One Direction. Yeah.
Bless. I had something else to like talk to you too about. Fuck. What was it? I'm wearing a really short skirt on Fallon tonight. I'm concerned about sitting.
Are you going to wear underpants?
Not if I can help it. No, I mean, yeah.
Listen, you want people to watch the show?
I always wear underpants. I'm not one of those people. I have a best friend from high school who to this day is like, I really hate underwear. I just never really wear it. And I'm like, really? That is not my journey.
Love it.
Me too.
A huge part of my job on Watch What Happens Live was making sure that no housewife vaginas went out on live television.
Caissie, where are you
hire
tonight?
someone especially for that?
Yeah, it's just
like you're on Vag Watch, like behind Andy. Yeah,
yeah. It just was like that was like a big combination: short dresses and no underpants.
I mean, honestly, yes, I get it. Wait,
Yeah.
but they don't wear underwear? Why don't they wear underwear?
Just sometimes I think because like it makes like a bad line or like how
Yeah, it's
tight
a bad line.
is or yeah.
I've actually had to do that before in a press dress or like a dress that I'm wearing for something, not not IRL.
Yeah. You see a lot. There's a lot of tags still attached to dresses, a lot of, the shoes go on after they've sat down, a lot of no underwear.
they
There's a
gotta be
lot of
returned.
housewives dressing secrets.
Ooh.
I met Jill Zarin at CNN, and she was promoting her. This was many, many moons ago, girls, and she was promoting her shapewear line called Squeeze Couture, if you recall.
No.
It may have been spelled SKWEEZ.
Sure.
I won't take that. I'm not 100%, but anyway. And she sat, and like I remember she had beige ones on, and I always like in a skirt, I'll always wear like little, shorties or Spanx or whatever. There's the moment. I just always have a little something to prevent the chafe. But anyway, hers were so long that they came almost to the knee, like Amish length here, but then had this short dress on, and I thought, and you could clearly see them, and I thought, it's good promotion for the brand, although to show people I'm wearing my own Squeeze Couture fabric, but there was something about it that I've never forgotten. It was like unhinged. I'm like, you're just going to have your beige shorts hanging out of your like little, David Meister dress. Okay. It just felt strange to me. I just wanted to share that story.
You know
but we do
what?
love Jill.
It's like a double usefulness because it protects you from the chafe. If you have like a long chafing surface area, then there's that.
Yes.
But
those knees, if your knees chafe, you never know. You
But
just never know.
also, if you're only like a below the knee shaver, then that takes care of that.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Very Mrs. Doubtfire reference, Caissie. I know exactly what you're thinking of when he gets on the bus.
I have no patience or time in my life for shapewear at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You probably don't need it. I literally will bleed from my legs if I don't wear like a, and they're very thin. They're actually, I found a brand that has like sexy ones, so it doesn't look like straight up Doubtfire belly, But like they're sheer and they're kind of nice, so I'll wear those.
For
But,
chafing
yeah,
in the
I have to have
summertime?
a short on.
Is that what you're saying?
Girl, wintertime, summertime, yeah, anytime. It doesn't matter. It's seasonal. Every season, I need it because I have a thick thigh, and they rub together. And
No,
you're
I know.
sweating
I've
and
gone
stuff.
through
Yeah.
different phases of different seasons in my bodily
I'm listening.
journey, Michelle.
Yeah, listen, if you're the type of person who, if you wore corduroys, if the cords would become bare between your thighs, then you need those.
Isn't that the noise?
Yeah, you need
pretty
anti.
accurate.
You need anti-chafing shapewear beneath your skirt.
There would be survivor fires happening if I wore cords. Like I'm going to wear cords to the survivor set.
I do.
Run around.
I do use the Mega Babe thigh
Oh, anti-chafing.
glide.
Yeah.
But you know what else I use? There's just like one at CVS that's like I think it's Arm & Hammer. And it's Runner's Glide.
It's like a silicone in a tube. I use that for face primer sometimes. There's an anti-chafing product that I sometimes use for face primer because it basically works the same.
Well, I'll try
genius,
them all.
actually.
I'm into all of them. But my problem, Michelle, is like almost like less the chafing at this point, at this bodily journey, but more the sweat rolling down the back of my legs into my knees and pooling.
Yeah.
You're not wearing the right shapewear, Biz.
But I'm not wearing any shapewear. That's what I'm saying to you. I gotta I gotta get into the thing. I gotta now that I'm in New York and it's so fucking humid, I gotta figure this out.
You got to get like
The knee sweat?
terry wristbands, but for your knees.
So genius,
Caissie-
like a dwarf moment.
Caissie, no, that's insane.
I'm just saying, and also you got to be careful with the anti-chafing product because you will slip the fuck off a toilet if you go overboard with it
I actually can't listen to you right now.
and break your fucking hip.
Wait, can I tell you though, truly, Michelle, when we first moved here, I was meeting a friend for like outdoor coffee. And I said to her, I don't get New York weather. Like, what's the weather like? And she's like, you know what? It's just that perfect weather where you can wear a silk dress. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Please.
Do you think I have ever in my life been able to wear a silk dress? That is so outside of this. For someone that sweats like me, a silk dress is, I mean, it's torture because it's also just like, I will have sweat lines, my stomach, like where my belly button is. I have sweat lines under my boob. I like have.
It's like a map of your sweatiest spots.
Yeah.
I mean, well, my sweatiest spots are 100% everywhere. And the worst part now, like what I hate is the back, like dots that come through.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like the back dots, where I'm just like, well, that's fucking humiliating. Like I would rather it just be like one giant sweat than just dots of sweat down my back.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I bought a satin dress. I don't like to, brag, but I did buy a dress made of satin, and it's very beautiful. It's like a green. As I'm talking, by the way, there is a spider on my ceiling. If you see me looking up, it's because the second we're done, I'm going to grab my 6-foot Swiffer stick and kill it. But I have to watch it.
You disparaged spiders when you were talking about Cape Cod, and they came out.
They did.
You're actually hilarious. That is what happened.
They did.
He got on the fucking Vineyard Ferry all the way to my apartment on the Upper West. Anyway, the sweat marks on it though, it's a one and done because then it stains it. It just looks, and I had a leather jacket on with it. Couldn't take the jacket off all day. Wanted to die. It was just a mistake, and I regret doing it. Spider agrees.
Well, Michelle, this has been a delight and a joy, and
for me too.
I can't wait to watch you be sweaty with Harry Styles later.
Oh God,
this week.
Can you just know one thing about that? If you watch that. I take no credit for my hair, makeup, wardrobe situation that day.
Yeah.
That entire season was pretty much horrible,
Yes.
but I look awful. So just know that, but enjoy it. That's what I have to say. But thank you for having me.
I love it, and I'm on board.
We love you so much.
We love you. You're amazing.
Oh, I love you guys too. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Thank you for coming, and just miss you all the time. And it was so nice to get to hang out with you.
We'll come to New York, and you can come to Costco with Busy and I.
I know that's gonna
I
be
would love.
fun.
I'm on a
Guys,
plane.
look for that content soon on Twitch.
I'll do.
We're gonna join
I'll do
Twitch.
the Will Smith body at Costco. I'm gonna wear Will Smith's outfit to Costco. You can Twitch it.
We're gonna Twitch it.
Okay, great.
We're gonna become Twitch streamers, and we're gonna go to Costco together.
Michelle cannot stop looking up at her ceiling, so we have to let her go.
I know. Okay, we're gonna let her go so she can kill the spider. Guys, we love you so much.
It's really moving.
Please,
All right, love you all.
Please like and subscribe and
Download for God's sake.
for God's sakes. Everyone's podcast, even people you don't like just fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Catch Michelle on Midnight Snack and on Sirius. Listen to her on channel 109.
in the mornings.
Yes, and please come on my podcast if you ever have a spare second. We'd love to have you.
We do.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Wait,
yeah,
I
we're
actually
doing
am
it.
doing it. Wait, I'm doing your Sirius show on Thursday.
You're doing Sirius this week, Thursday,
yeah.
but then we can have more time together on the podcast.
I would
Yes.
love it.
Both.
Okay.
We'll do
Sounds-
both.
Yay.
Both. All right, guys.
All right.
We love you.
We love you.
Keep doing your best.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh no.